Hello, my friends. Welcome to New Kids with a Shop, brought to you by the Arcade Comics, Collectibles, and Games, located in blustery Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm Matt Cade.
And I'm Craig Ray. And this episode is Marvelous.
Arcade.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to New Kids with the Shop. This episode is called Marvelous. We're going to kick things off this episode, though, with talking about the Flash trailer that was revealed before the Super Bowl. We're going to follow that up with...
There was a Super Bowl after that?
Yeah.
They played the game just to
I was-
put the ad.
yeah.
They had the game just to show that.
Done after that.
I didn't watch. I didn't know. Today we're joined by Shayne Pace
It's great to be here.
and Rick Shupe.
Hello.
We're also going to discuss Man and the Wasp Quantumania and follow that up with the MCU in general. We're going to give Marvel some love this episode because it's been severely lacking up to this point, and it's not because we don't like it, it's just because we haven't gotten around to it. So we'd already mentioned it, that Flash trailer. You saw it at the, did you see it the day of?
Yes, I was counting down. I was at work and I was waiting until it started at 6 p.m.
Because you sent me a note saying that you saw it and it was the most beautiful thing you've ever seen.
Yeah,
You're going to cry or something.
Yep.
And I didn't
I
realize
texted my mom.
I didn't know the game was on already. I think it was earlier, so it caught me by surprise.
I know, Rick, we showed it to you here. Have you watched it again since then, or have you seen any more of it?
Yes, I have. I thought it was so wonderfully done. I had to see it a second time.
Yeah, no.
So
I'm up to about 48.
no, I've legitimately probably watched it 15, 20 times.
Yeah, this is up to Revenge of the Sith level excitement for me. I haven't felt like this in a while.
My problem with it is I am afraid to dive in that deep because I don't want to be hurt again.
I
No,
really
I feel that. Like if this is my favorite movie, and then it's like, oh, yeah, but that's over now.
I know.
You're like, oh, okay.
Because it did remind me of before Watchmen came out. The Watchmen trailer was amazing. And I love Watchmen, but as good as it was not as good as that trailer made it out to be. Like the trailer made it was like something that we have never seen before.
you know, I've got
Cultural
a
phenomenon.
good
Yes.
feeling about this though. I really do.
I do too. I think it's gonna. Well, and here's another thing. A piece that I heard today. What's the Comic Pro convention or whatever?
Yeah.
That's the first public
Oh,
showing.
yeah, it's,
2 months early. They're showing the movie. So
Such as the
if you don't feel confident in a movie, you don't give people 2 months to shit all over it.
Yeah.
So
I think they know they have something special on their hands.
yeah, and
Well, how do you guys feel about that, though, knowing that it's going to basically end out all the Snyderverse stuff? How do you guys feel about that possibly being the best movie they've made? How do you feel about that?
me,
Yeah.
I think that I'm excited enough for the new DCEU, and I'm confident enough in Gunn that I don't care if it's my favorite. I mean, I don't care. I mean, when I saw Keaton and I heard the 89 theme playing over it,
Yes.
I was just like, yeah, this is it. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't.
I mean, if it is Flashpoint, it is a reset. So narratively, it makes sense that it doesn't continue on. But like Matt said, so I was at work. I went into the bathroom in a stall and watched it, and I was already emotional. But when you see when he says you want some help, and you see him walk into frame, and then they do a reverse to him, Kate flaring, and you see Michael Keaton as Batman at long last. I was full on weeping. I never thought that I would see when it was announced 2 years ago. I never thought that I would actually see it happen.
I was 8 years old again.
And it was the most amazing. And it was amazing. So I don't think there's any way you can miss. I really don't.
How do you, Rick?
It choked me up, I have to admit. And also the part where he's talking about his mother and he doesn't want to lose it.
Oh yeah, Barry. Mm-hmm. This is the one where my mom doesn't die.
And I don't know all the pieces of how it's all going to fit, but I guess I don't know. I suppose it was probably just from an acting or actor standpoint as far as using Supergirl instead of Superman.
Yeah,
And the whole context of things. We'll see how it plays out. So
Well, as long as it's a Kryptonian that was being kept there, and
right, it doesn't really matter.
But
It's-
the scene that they show a little bit of when I love, there's so many things about it when they're actually battling outside of the prison that they kept her in, and you have Barry on the ground saying, what's the play? Batman, what do we do? Which is already great. You have Flash asking Michael Keaton's Batman because in any universe, in any multiverse, Batman is the one that has the plan, and then he says try not to die because he knows all you had to do was get her into sunlight. That's all you had to do, and then there we go from there. It's gonna be, and that's what 5 seconds of this trailer.
Yeah.
I think this movie is gonna be all of that. And Andy Muschietti is coming off of It 1 and 2, which I love both. Mileage may vary, but I think they were. It was a horror movie, and he elevated into a horror film, epic, and that was no small feat. And I think this one's gonna be just as good.
No, we're pumped. We loaded up on. I mean, if you people have been paying attention to our Facebook pages and Instagram and whatnot, we loaded up on the Flash material. So if you're looking for the source material,
We got it.
yeah, we got it covered.
And it's going to be on sale.
You know what? I'm not above it. It is a flash sale, everybody.
There's towers of merchandise.
Yeah.
They had the Francis Manipul run.
Yep.
That was wonderful. They have the Jeff Johns complete run, all three
Omnibuses and the trades
We
to
have
go with it.
300 copies of Flashpoint, so
Yeah.
come on.
And Rick,
The classics.
they have the original the Silver Age.
Yes.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, you guys hate Jay Garrick apparently.
I don't hate him.
I bet if Jay Garrick was in the Flash trailer, you'd have some. Actually, you probably would. Yeah.
I think he's always been kind of cool, the character of Flash, regardless of who the person that portrayed it was.
Oh yeah.
It's just a neat idea, modernization of Hermes.
And that was,
Mercury.
and then Flash of Two Worlds is when you first got a multiverse, which made this trailer what they're doing possible because you also have Ben Affleck's Batman, and not only do you have him, but he is in the finally at long last classic
The gray and blue.
gray and blue,
Yep.
and it looks wondrous. I don't know where he fits in the movie, but
Who cares?
who cares?
Yeah. So definitely, and I think we'll see how it works out. I've already looked into it. I think we're going to try to rent a theater for that one. As far as for a showtime, and maybe, I mean, it depends on if they let us, but I've already looked into it, and it's too soon as far as because dates and times and things like that they don't know. But this is like since the Batman.
Yeah, because we took a bunch of people with us the night before we opened to see the Batman, and we had a good experience. So we were looking to expand upon
There'd be
that.
some nice poetry in that. Now, can I ask you a two-part question? One, do you think he is married to Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman in this movie?
He better be.
It would be a one-scene cameo. It's all they have to do.
He better be.
And
If not married to her, she's gone, and he's
Yeah.
pining over her still.
yeah.
Because that is
And then I tell you what I want to see. Whether it's a credit sting or a scene in the movie, I want him to go to prison, to Arkham, and visit Billy D. Williams as Two-Face,
That'd be cool.
just to get his bearings, just to see. Yeah,
I mean, they can do so much. When
you
they-
can do fan service if it's that level.
and it doesn't have to be part of the plot. You can just be like,
Nope.
hey,
Billy D came back
see
for
that guy.
episode 9.
And that was the worst thing ever made. If you want to do fan service just
Second
for
worst.
Shayne Pace, that's fine with me.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I
That's-
mean, I'm satisfied.
Who do you think's riding the Bat Cycle?
Oh, that's Affleck.
Yeah,
Not that does not mean I do not think Bale shows up though.
it's not. Yeah, I don't. It wouldn't bail, but I don't.
But it's Affleck on the Bat Cycle. Yeah, I can confident about that.
I do remember I was watching videos YouTube, and when they were filming those stunts, the guy riding the bike crashed it like the first second he got on it.
Yeah, and that was.
That was forever ago, but
boy.
it doesn't feel.
And what about seeing the slightly modified but not really Bat plane, 89 Bat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Batwing.
Which he's now. It has to be modified because there's two jump seats, which there never were.
Nope.
Oh yeah. Side by side.
Isn't it interesting though that like he still has one Bat plane and one Batmobile from what we've seen?
Are they going to explain that because he has a Robin?
Oh, there you go.
Right.
Oh, and if it's again, make it Marlon Wayans, who
Can
was
they be bold and be that brave?
for
Maybe.
and for anybody that doesn't know, Marlon Wayans was contracted for to play Robin in Batman Forever when Tim Burton was still on the project. He cast him, and it went so far to have a costume fitting. And when just like Billy D. Williams, when he eventually they had to buy out his contract to change it and not cast him. That's how far into everything.
I wish I could get a contract. I want to be bought out of
Seriously,
not making a movie.
For not.
Yeah,
That's the dream, right?
Yeah.
yeah. So what do you guys think about the Flash trailer? Looks almost the most Snyder-ish of anything that I can.
The most Snyder that Snyder's ever Snydered.
Yes.
I think you might be bridging it though, like keeping enough of that visual language while still trying to make something new. So it's still there is some sort
Or
of.
they couldn't. They were too far past. They couldn't get rid of most of it.
Well, I mean, I think Machete's doing his own thing. There's more color.
Yeah.
Than there is in
Well, I completely have spaced it this whole time. Like the number one thing that I'm most shocked about out of that trailer was that Zod
Yeah, it was there.
was completely like under wraps. I had no idea.
So here, imagine what else are they hiding then? What else have they
Right.
kept? See, if Michael Shannon, a busy guy, can, and
Is Tom Cruise gonna be Iron Man for me once?
I mean, who's to say? But that's, so not only could they have like a Michelle Pfeiffer one-day cameo, Tommy Lee, yikes, Billy D,
Yuck.
but
the wrong Lee there. buddy.
what other hero could they maybe have
Yeah.
in there? You might have a whole other.
I want to see Bizarro live action.
Hey, if they did a Bizarro live action, I would want Spike Jonze to direct it,
You got the Yoda.
and it would be a great.
That doesn't even fit.
I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
It slipped out.
So, the other big news thing that's happened recently is Quantumania. So, Ant-Man and the Wasp 3 Quantumania. I went and saw it on the Thursday before release, which I guess I don't even know how movies work anymore. Is that technically the release now? Because they've got
Yeah, they release it
30 showings, so I'm assuming so. So
You remember when it used to be midnight on
yeah,
Thursday,
you had to go at midnight, and it was just like
and now it's like 6 p.m. on Thursday?
yeah. So I went
No,
and
it's
saw.
like 3 now. It's like 3 p.m. on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't. So I didn't. Yeah, I didn't need to stay up so incredibly late. It made it so that it was feasible. But it's been the first time in a while that I actually went to any movie, like first opportunity I could get, and I'm along with the rest of the critics score. I'm extremely pleased. Like, and we get into this later because we're going to go over our top, Marvel MCU properties and things. This isn't going to make that list. However, I thought it was very well done, and it 100% proved that Jonathan Majors is up to the task of carrying the MCU on his shoulders.
He is absolutely formidable enough to take on some Avengers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
None of the Ant-Mans make my list, but every one of them has been, I think, a lot of fun, a lot of quality. The stakes are low enough that,
Low enough, Ant-Man.
Ant-Man, small enough.
Dun-dun-dun.
I'm glad. I mean, at least they've had that thread going through. Like Peyton Reed has done all of them.
Yeah, it's from. Don't get me wrong, I was as disappointed as everybody else
Yeah.
that Edgar Wright didn't get to make
Sure,
his.
I agree.
But there's enough of what he had in that first movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And Adam McKay did a polish on the script, which also couldn't hurt.
Yeah,
And then their circuit genius was casting Michael Douglas as Hank Pym to give it that sense of
class.
yes that it needed, and then to cast
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Paul Rudd as Ant-Man just to begin with.
Yeah.
yeah, that anchored the whole series. It's the only way this was ever going to work, I think.
I can't imagine any other actor carrying it because it's not a.
The whole thing has been on his broad, beautiful shoulders.
Well, Paul Rudd has that thing. It's a really weird quality where he delivers lines like most of the time when somebody thinks they're funny, right? Like they're the only ones laughing at their jokes. But he has this strange ability he delivers things like he thinks he's funny, and it's charming enough that everybody else does too.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
You can't teach that.
Yeah, I mean
I read for Ant-Man, and the room was just dead. There's nothing.
I read for it.
Because it was in your bedroom and no one knew else about it.
I don't know why they wanted to hold it there, but
Did you go see it, Rick? Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I did not. I had some medical issues.
Downer.
Wah, wah.
No, but I mean, based upon the trailers, I mean, you have to have heard some stuff and you've read about it at this point.
And I read the original story.
Well, sure.
So, yeah, I'm excited to see it. I'm just getting around.
at what point do we inject the spoiler warning?
Yeah.
Now.
We inject it now. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, fast forward to when we're done talking about it.
Because you don't want to hear about how Wolverine shows up.
And that'll be a guess because you won't know. When
Yeah, I don't know when it's going to be either. So, there's not. It's kind of a joke. I mean, there's nothing really spoilery about the movie.
There's not.
Like if you've seen the trailer, you
but
know
I like
what's
that
gonna
too. I
happen.
like how self-contained it is. It stands on its own as its own movie, but it also plants up plenty of seeds.
There's no gotchas, but there's some cool things that you get to see visually. Like you already know all the stuff that's there, but seeing it is worthwhile.
Bill Murray shows up to steal the movie for a few seconds.
Did you have a problem with the casting
It was nice enough to leave.
of his daughter?
Cassie?
Yeah.
I don't know what the outrage is. To be completely honest, if I didn't hear complaints, I wouldn't have noticed that that role changed because
Yeah.
it wasn't significant enough for me to be like,
'Cause the other actress only had 1 or 2 lines total.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the hug and that portion of it, like when after the
Yeah,
book we
and
were
in
talking
game
about.
he came back, but I mean, I don't.
This is what happens when people let the internet have an opinion.
Yeah,
And I thought she was fine.
Well, I think the controversy was she found out on the internet because more or less it was ghosted, and it's like the generation that's most upset about her being ghosted is the generation that created ghosting. So
Also, life's hard.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think ultimately everybody can be upset on the actress's behalf, but I haven't heard anything directly from the actress that's more outraged than
They recast the daughter in Independence Day and Independence Day 2, and the world kept moving.
Yeah.
However,
The worst part about that movie was the whole movie.
it was a very negative thing for me in the Batman series, where Katie Holmes didn't come back. That bugged me.
You know, I was okay with that.
I mean, it ended up being a fine. I mean, it's one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, but it would have been cooler had they kept the cast exactly the same, I think.
I think they wanted somebody who could deliver lines like an actress instead of
I think they wanted somebody that wasn't attached to Tom Cruise
Katie Holmes was like.
because he didn't want her to be in a movie bigger than he was in. I think, and that's
Ooh,
and that's what that's what I think the crux of it is he didn't want her overshadowing him, so that's why she didn't return.
The
I just like
recasting.
continuity. I mean, I
Yeah.
just wanted
Oh, I
to-
do too. I mean, Rhodey's been recast.
Yeah, that was another one that's buggy.
T'Challa should have been recast
Should have been recast.
Yeah.
because there's no reason not to.
I just can't imagine, like, if you're watching this Ant-Man 2 to 3 and you can't get over Cassie was recast. I mean, that
Yeah.
doesn't seem like
It's
it
not a
would
big. That's nitpicking
anything up.
because
like.
if you don't want to see the movie, don't see the movie. Don't create some weird reason. It's like
Well, I
Michelle
think
Pfeiffer's White Gold.
Michelle Pfeiffer. The best thing this movie did is make her essentially the lead,
she's in half of it at least.
and it was amazing. And she's giving it her all. She is not phoning it in.
No.
This is Michelle Pfeiffer.
And I think the performances were great considering 99% of it, except for like the walking in San Francisco scenes, like everything else has to be green screen.
Had to be, yeah.
Had to be.
But this movie also finally lets Hank Pym save the day
Yes.
in this wonderful way with this gestalt of ants.
Ant-Man and Wasp in this movie are Hank Pym and
Janet Van Dyne.
Janet Van
Yes,
Dyne. Yeah,
Janet Van
I was not aware until after the movie. My friend told me that Evangeline Lilly was also in it.
yeah.
I didn't miss her.
It's the second time they gave her an intentionally bad haircut. The second time.
Wow.
Instead of that, you remember that the bangs bob thing?
Yeah.
Like, and then this one with the short hair. I think it's not even that she couldn't pull it off. I think that somebody like intentionally gave her 2 bad haircuts.
Well, it was like when Brie Larson got her haircut in Endgame. It was
Yeah.
went from being long and then to being
I
Karen.
like that though.
But then now I think isn't it long again in the end of Ms. Marvel when she falls out
when
of
she
the
shows
closet?
it, yeah.
So it was like were they just doing it for comic book
I
accuracy?
do not think that the length of
I think the effects
actress's
people wanted.
hair just it doesn't
Well,
really.
my question
matter
is,
to me.
how do they cut her damn hair? If she can fly through an intergalactic starship, how do they cut her damn hair?
Who knows? I don't know
Superman show up and uses heat vision?
we're gonna have an entire episode on haircut,
We are.
superhero haircut.
I wrote an issue, a comic issue where about who cuts the one barber that cuts all the DC heroes' hair.
That's fantastic.
Great 9-panel grids on every page. There's just one. Imagine what the panel with Guy Gardner is.
There's a common tailor for Flash's
Just
Rogues
the
Gallery.
colander over his head.
With him, like, yeah.
That's awesome.
You guys want to know how it ends? This is true. The last page, he's it's the end of the day, and he's sweeping up outside of a shop, and then you pan out. It's just on the panels right next door is the beauty salon that all the DC women go to. Say, how was the day? You know,
I was waiting for some.
you got to go. No.
I was like,
I was waiting for some grand.
Nope.
yeah.
Nope.
It was like
It's a comic about barbers. What do you think
next
was going to
door to
happen?
another
at the
store.
end?
it's in the food court inside the Hall of Justice.
What do you think was going to happen?
That's awesome. So I
No, it's in like Delaware or something.
I'm gonna start I think I'm gonna start giving ranking and point systems moving forward out of this. I give Quantumania a 7.5 out of 10. Based completely on raising the stakes, which I feel like Marvel absolutely needed. I mean, I think there's been enough introduction of characters, enough setup, and it's like, let's do something needs to happen.
Then what does your point system say about Thor 2? Where does that fall? Where does that great
Where does
masterpiece
Thor
fall?
2 fit in my point system?
So we can kind of compare here because
I'll give it a 1.5.
I would be more generous than that, just because
it was very pretty.
it was. I like the dark tones of it, except for like the reds. I feel like were vivid, and it's been so long since I've watched that one. I'd put it in 2.5 territory.
Okay.
I mean, so
You are feeling magnanimous today.
that's not fair. If I say that means I'm giving nothing a 0. That means the bottom of my scale is actually
This is the
2.
bottom of my scale.
Yes, that's where I would put it too.
Dare you
Nothing else gets a 1.5.
recalibrate that to 0?
Yeah, that's how, point systems always fall apart in that, because if 0 doesn't count, then, whatever. But yeah, Thor 2 would not be up there. I put this as a solid, I don't want to say absolute favorite, one of my tops in Phase 4, Phase 5, for sure.
This
And like
kicks
I
off
said,
Phase 5, right?
This kicks off Phase 5.
So what's your favorite of Phase 5 so far?
It's a 10 out of 10 for the favorite Phase 5 movie. You heard it here first.
Best one I've seen so far.
Yeah.
I think it was a breath of fresh air after. I don't want to say a lackluster. I love the movies for the most part in Phase 4. I don't think they get enough credit.
They're not directionless. They
I don't
feel
think-
directionless though.
I don't think Doctor Strange 2 and Spider-Man No Way Home. I like the Eternals a little bit more than most people, and I think I'm missing. Oh, and I like Thor: Love and Thunder a little bit more than most people. But overall, I don't think the movies were terrible. I think the shows suffered, and it was much too much at once. I thought I wanted them all, and it turns out I only wanted like 3.
I don't.
No give backs.
No takesies back.
No, I wanted them all. I just wanted the execution to be there.
Okay, I just wanted them to be better.
I have no problems with the things they selected. I have issues with how they performed them. Like,
It seems like it was more about introducing characters instead of making great shows about the characters.
Exactly. They're like, well, we've got to pump all these in, and we got to. There was no patience there. I feel like there was patience. It was 10 years before you had.
That they built to the
They
infinity.
built to the Infinity Saga, and it was deserved. And there were some stinkers in there. Like, I think we were talking about it earlier. We were just like Iron Man 2 or 3, like debating on which one was
Yeah. I do not like Iron Man.
better
3.
or worse. But I don't think. But I think all of those, at least, they introduced people, and they ran towards Thanos.
Yeah,
Right.
I think they got too much to the business side. They want to make Disney Plus content, and then with this show on that, okay, now it has to be 6 episodes, whether you have the material for that or not, or you're willing to write that or not. I think like Falcon Winter Soldier would have worked better as a movie.
Yeah.
And it is going to be a movie now, right? Another one.
Well,
he's
Captain America
Captain
is
America
the new Cap.
Yeah.
I think She-Hulk would have worked as a great show if they would have hired writers.
Yeah. That would have helped a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of the robot.
Well, from what I understand, it was just like
Chatbot.
4 like gerbils who were gonna die anyway, and there was this. I don't know. This is what you got.
Let's watch the world burn.
This is what you get, and it was like it was a huge prank, except the episode with Abomination where they changed the entire character. It's completely different. I'm glad that Tim Roth came back and got a check, but that's not who Abomination is or who he was in the 2008 movie, which we all remember.
Well,
I'm
and
sure.
I heard something recently, and it was a video making fun of people, naturally. The lady, the showrunner on this, I hope this is true because I'm going to say it out loud. The showrunner for She-Hulk is one of the writers responsible for writing the Pickle Rick episode of Rick and Morty.
Oh no, I think she's probably one of the people who saw the Pickle Rick episode. Saw it. There's no way.
Again with the Ricks. That's right.
No, and that's where I feel, how do I say this without being controversial, I guess? I feel like She-Hulk was written specifically its only purpose to poke certain people in the chest and like dare them
To not like it.
to not like it. And in doing so, it lost a little bit for me just because I felt like it was in poor form to.
Well, no, there's a way.
Explicitly-
There's a way to get all those ideas and thoughts across. And if you did, imagine if you did it under the guise of a great show, and all these same things these same points are being made, important points, instead of those points first, and then we'll maybe write a show after that.
I don't see anybody intentionally. I feel like it was intentionally. I wouldn't intentionally bomb and then pick a characteristic that you know is going to be a hot button issue. And it's not really, I am a white dude, right? It's the way that it is.
I'm just not noticing that.
Right. Yes. I hide it very well.
Man.
But it's set up where, because they said it first, like, white dudes are going to hate this, and you're a scumbag.
Oh, they set the narrative
beforehand.
Show.
And I feel like that's been like a Disney strategy. Like, I felt like they did it with Star Wars. Like, Obi-Wan was a steaming pile. So they're like, racism on behalf of this lady.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, people are allowed to not like that character because it was a whole lot of tell, don't show.
Just,
I mean, they're like, I don't know. I mean, I put She-Hulk in that same category where I felt like more people were talking about the controversy around the show than standing around the water cooler talking about the show.
yeah. And the way they wrote, like, all the characters were so one-dimensional, and especially
Douchebag lawyer guy who thinks he knows everything.
And then the main guy, that was the rich kid who ended up being the bad guy. But it's like, no matter what, like, the point you're making, these are still poorly written.
But that's
still
the
poorly
that's the
written.
point. That's exactly what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Because what we're saying right now, what they have been saying is we did this intentionally so that these exact people would have these exact criticisms. Like, it was all like they're playing 4D chess, but it feels like it's just poorly written. And instead they're like, it's poorly written on purpose. Gotcha. And I don't know what's real. Maybe they are that smart, but it doesn't feel that
I think,
way.
because if they were, it would be a better show.
Well, what if in WandaVision, we go through the beautiful journey that was WandaVision to get to the last episode where they just go meet the robot Kevin Feige to negate everything that happened in the show. How would you feel about that?
They
then? That's
go
how I
to
felt
the
about
writer's room, and in the last episode of She-Hulk, they go to the writer's room, and she points out how bad they are. And
Yeah.
it's like, sure, it's meta, but boy, you're really walking the razor's edge here.
Have you had a chance to watch She-Hulk yet, Rick?
I've seen some.
Okay, cool. And
She-Hulk was well cast, by the way.
Yes,
she was
absolutely.
wonderful, and she did great with what she had.
No, I love her. I loved her in Orphan Black. She is amazing, and I think she did, like, Orphan Black was the first time, because everybody's seen a show where people play multiple characters, right? And I felt like she did very well with unique personalities and
making them distinct.
So I think that's, none of the fault is on her at all.
It rarely ever is. It's always direction, writing, or production, but she is the face of it.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
but especially in a machine like the MCU, where the it's so producer driven. Like, these are everything's
They're making the
it's
shows
above
to
your
make
head.
toys, to make sellable.
You're just a cog in the machine. You're the one that everybody sees.
But she's the face of that machine. So
Yeah.
And how did you feel about, and we're going down the rabbit hole at this point of just talking poorly. We need to get to our top list, but I think it's fed through.
Plus, since we're talking about She-Hulk, this is bleeding edge stuff.
It absolutely.
But
Spoilers.
But it says something about a show that introduces, after No Way Home, Charlie Cox's Daredevil, and it doesn't even come up really. Something that I loved and I couldn't wait for. And
Absolutely.
It's like, it was also
but
there.
how hard did they try to get him in that show? I mean,
Oh yeah.
that was
I mean, they had to fly him from Hell's Kitchen to LA, right?
yeah. Because when I need trouble, I always find an attorney 3,000 miles away and then make sure they're blind, and then have them come to me.
Late.
Exactly.
But it was, but like seeing him in the red and yellow, I know that was just made for Shayne Pace, but as we established earlier, I love that kind of
That
stuff.
aspect of it was feels for sure, but
And the Walk of Shame didn't bother me at all. I mean,
no.
Matt would have made that decision, and
I have made that decision.
Yeah, and so
it
would
just
she.
happens. It happens.
That's not the problem I have a part. That's not the part I have a problem with.
I had the problem. The thing I don't like about it is it was bad. It just bugged me the whole time.
The last time I saw Daredevil was questionably my favorite Marvel television show. I mean, I can't count it as
best.
MCU. Daredevil is fantastic.
Far and away, I love all 3 seasons. Yeah, Charlie Cox.
The very first, I completely was head over heels in love in that first or second episode where it's the single shot.
Oh, the hallway
fight.
Yeah, and they
He walks out with the little girl. I'm like, this is.
They show the toll that it takes for a man to fight like that. And again, for my favorite, far and away my favorite Marvel character, and so there's a lot writing on that, especially with the artistic heights that the Ben Affleck movie reached. Boy, but no, did he just nailed it? He was so good that he made it. He made the jump to the through the multiverse too.
It always bugged me because when he this is personal observation. He never looked blind. He always looked like he was dumb and didn't know where he was. He had that look in his face like he just.
Boy, we're gonna get letters.
I don't.
There's also a great scene in the second one. I think it's the second season where it's another hallway scene, but he has a chain, and he's so tired that he keeps whipping the chain to whip himself back up because he's so tired. And I just love. Oh man, those are great shows. And they introduced us to John Bernthal's Punisher, which is just nailing it.
Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin.
Oh,
it's fantastic.
He could do anything.
Fantastic casting. I mean, I would say my least favorite. The Elektra season went on a little bit.
I still dug it, but
much.
yeah.
Yes, I did. But then 3, when it came right back to Kingpin.
Yes. Kind of adapting a little bit of Born Again.
But I feel the same way about, like, I couldn't wait for Jessica Jones because it was gritty.
Oh man, the first season was
Tenet?
so great, but boy,
Fantastic.
did that get embarrassing. And did they go 3 seasons?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, there was one season that it made me feel weird. It was so bad.
Yeah. I mean, I think
I wish they would have made some Iron Fist shows, but those never happened.
Luke.
Too bad.
There are some pretty bad ones.
Too bad.
Like there's a glaring omission from this.
yeah, like they
Defenders show.
cast him, but nothing.
Yeah, that one, I was confused the entire time as far as what was happening.
What if we just spent two seasons with his siblings in board meetings?
Yeah, and then Colleen was
The Colleen, and they even cast Jessica Henwick, who was great.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's like, should we ever let him be Iron Fist? No one's gonna watch the Iron
no.
Fist movie for Iron Fist.
like, are we gonna see his fist? Or like, nope, but you'll see that tattoo quite a bit.
Will he ever be in costume? People don't want to see superheroes in costume.
They do not. That's
Should
what
we
they
make
come
it
here
good? You know what, Johnson? Get out of our office. All right.
for. So
That was pretty depressing. I
mean-
was a big Iron Fist fan. I was hurt by that show.
No heroes for hire. They biffed it. Easy layup.
I mean, all he had to do is punch people a lot. That's it.
Since they're keeping D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox, and the word is that they're keeping Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones, do you think they should keep, I think, Coulter?
He was fantastic.
I think both of them fit the roles. I would, especially Luke Cage, and
Yes.
he would be amazing in the MCU. Make him the mayor,
Yeah.
just like they've done.
Man, I'm glad that I'm excited for Born Again for sure.
Oh yeah,
I mean, we'll see how big of a difference it makes switching over from, the Netflix side of things to the Disney side of things.
yeah, it's gonna. I mean, well, Mark Waid showed that you can make the character light, and it still works. But every other person who's ever written him showed that that's not.
I'm also confused because isn't like the number of episodes is like triple what they've ever announced for any other show?
I don't know.
It was a lot. It was like 11 or something.
Hey.
It was more than that. It was like 18 or something.
Oh,
I think they know that this character, this is an A character, and he needs to have his due. It can't just be another show.
Yeah, Jamie, can you look that up? How many episodes?
I'm looking.
Thank you, young Jamie. So, yeah, and that was our opinion on Quantumania.
Quantumania. Yeah, but wouldn't it be great in whatever the eventual Kang Dynasty Avengers movie to see Daredevil on the field, to see Luke Cage, to see Iron Fist out there
Punching.
it would be great to see. Well, I don't know if the Punisher would be there. I think he'd be like, "Oh, the heroes are gone. Now I can murder some more people."
Right.
Without them being all stop murdering all the time.
Yeah,
it is 18.
it is 18.
18.
You were right.
So it was. Well, I was right for once.
Yeah,
Incredible.
I know. Go get yourself some lottery tickets.
I'm gonna buy some ice cream later. We have I think, I don't know. I gave my score 7.5. That's what I'm giving Quantumania. And we have the scale now. I think, like I said, Jonathan Majors.
Were you happy with the way with how the movie wrapped up? How it was wrapped up? Or do you like?
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing. Like most of the time, I think we all got used to the MCU end credit scenes being like either a character reveal or some character
storyline that's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah, or something like that. And this one was just more Kang. It's like here's Kang, more Kang,
which fit into the narrative of the movie itself. It wasn't like a pivot.
It felt like, you know how like Wakanda Forever's like the end credit scenes was just, okay, here's the end of the movie, and then here's 3 more minutes, right? Mm-hmm. Ant-Man did the exact same thing. It was like, here's the end of the movie, here's 3 more minutes. I mean, it wasn't like both of those followed that same formula, and I don't know if that was intentional or what, but
the only thing better.
Do you agree or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only thing better than Jonathan Majors is way more Jonathan Majors,
which they accomplished.
Yeah.
So I'm good with that.
And in the name of dynamism, I like to think this is a dynamic podcast, and we have differing opinions. I'm going to give the film 7.5.
Whoa!
I really think that was that was exactly what I felt about it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there. It's not the best one for sure, but it's definitely not even close to the worst one.
How does it fit in the Ant-Man trilogy?
My Ant-Man experience has been horrible. So one, I got super excited for when I heard the director who it was going to be, and then it switched to when it was Edgar Wright. I was like,
and he'd been on that before there was an MCU proper. That's how much.
Yep. He'd been wanting to forever, and I was completely on board. And then I think Peyton did a great job and won. Like, it had all the pieces. Ant-Man and the Wasp 2, I remember I was on a work trip when that came out, and I went to the theater, and then something disastrous blew up. So I've seen Ant-Man 2. I saw the first 10 minutes, and I had to leave. And then I went back and watched it, and I think I've only watched it once.
I've only seen the theater.
It's got Walton Goggins in it, which is the saving grace for me for most things. But I'm saying, to answer your question overall, and then you can speak to it, I put it at the top of the Ant-Man movies, personally. The second one?
The third one.
Okay.
Quantumania is my favorite Ant-Man movie.
Ant-Man 2, the woman who played Ghost, I think her name was, was briefly cast as Red Sonja, and I thought that would have been great. She's since been supplanted, but
yeah,
I go 1, 3, 2.
Okay,
but it was tough.
Was it the Thomas train that did it for you? Remember one?
Look, I happen to be a very big Thomas fan.
Yeah.
Who's your conductor? Carlin or Ringo? You started it. Oh, you didn't think Shayne had that in the pocket?
I submit.
I'm having Bullet Train flashbacks now.
Ugh. Never hope to see that again.
It wasn't. It was a movie. That's what it was.
It was certainly a movie. I love
a movie.
Brad Pitt was in it, and that's fine with me.
Usually all I need.
That's all I needed.
So if you've seen those the other movies, what did you think, Rick, of Ant-Man 1 and 2?
It's a sore subject for me. I struggle with it because it's such a different thing from what I grew up with.
Like, you want it to be Hank and not Scott.
Yes,
would have been nice.
And I don't want. Although I love Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer for their great cinematic performances,
that's why you need to see
years,
3.
I don't think of them as anything close to my vision of Ant-Man.
Huh. He's the hero.
Wasp.
He's the hero in 3.
And I think young Michael Douglas and young Michelle Pfeiffer would have been great. But I wasn't there.
I can't see it.
They made some pretty kids of the year.
I'll say.
Sure.
My problem with 2, and I do think the MCU wasted Lawrence Fishburne.
Yes.
And I also can't get over. Tarantino said he was going to make a Luke Cage movie in the 90s, and Fishburne would have been his Cage. And I'll never get over that either.
Wow.
That would have been. That
I just got done with Othello, and now I'm doing.
and Fishburne would have done it, and it would have rocked face.
Yeah.
But awesome. I don't know who he would have played, but he was there and he was great. But yeah,
college professor with a secret.
Yeah,
is not.
Is this Lawrence Fishburne? He could beat Thanos.
Yeah,
Lawrence Fishburne could.
Not even a character.
That was in the original script.
And then Lawrence Fishburne shows up.
Like, Why isn't it Wakanda? Why ask questions? We need them.
Show me.
Show me.
And it was great.
I know Kung Fu.
I know Kung Fu.
All right, so we've scored it. I would recommend going and seeing it. It's worth seeing in the theater. It's enough of a spectacle. There's enough effects and things like that.
IMAX 2D.
Watch it loud. Yeah, good stuff. That will segue us into talking about our top 5. And this is going to be the meat and potatoes of this episode as far as we're going to get in deep with that. And we each wrote down top 5 Marvel
MCU,
proper MCU
shows, the whole umbrella.
shows or movies. And we're going to have a round table on that. And I would like for you to start, Rick, please. What is you want to start at 5 and go to 1, guys?
Yes, that's how we're supposed to be.
We're going to be starting at 5, building to 1.
4, 3, 2.
I'm not sure which one I feel strongest about, but Doctor Strange has always been a favorite character of mine. Stan and Steve with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange are really pivotal in my young life. And so I maybe read more into the movie than what is on the screen, but I love Doctor Strange 1 and 2 just about equally. I know there's some people have some problems with part 2, but I liked Wanda being in that and being,
I love them both.
very exciting.
I do.
Villain. And so I would put Doctor Strange as my 5th favorite Marvel film.
Okay.
Great choice.
Casting, you like Benedict?
Oh, love him, yeah.
Awesome.
He's such a great actor, and he really knows what to do with this character. Make it, it could be dry if it were exactly like the early comics. He had a little bit,
He does
have a
smarmy
strong-
white guy pretty good.
yeah, he didn't have that strong personality that Benedict puts in there, and I love it.
What's number 4 then?
We're not going to go around the table. We're going to go straight with
No,
mine.
I think we should go around the table, honestly.
Oh, okay.
No? You don't want to?
No, it's fine.
I mean,
Let it build.
Shayne,
Let it build.
what's your number 5, boy?
Number 5 for me is 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Strong.
Strong choice.
They
Strong,
took
strong.
a so-so comic. I think I don't know if the Abnett run, I think was done by then. It was the only one that I even liked. Such a hodgepodge group of characters and a weird choice. And James Gunn turned in this wonderful space opera he made each character special. And he made it was like 3 films in one. There's a heist movie in there. There's a wonderful
Had space
action
magic.
movie in there. And then besides Captain America, my favorite MCU character so far, and I guess Daredevil is Rocket, and they have the wonderful Bradley Cooper just giving it his all. I think the movie works on all levels, and it shouldn't have. It has no right to exist, let alone be that good.
No, it is.
And like Matt said, it also proved that at that point, like Marvel can kind of do anything. They can make any.
That was the first movie that I
sing.
saw that I was like, they can do anything they want now because
it's not my first favorite. It's not my favorite movie, but it is number 1 as far as most surprised.
Oh yeah, and I think everybody was.
It was so damn fun. The soundtrack was, so
yeah.
good.
I noticed too, and I'm sure everybody listening noticed this way longer ago than me, but that was a 70s theme soundtrack, then 80s, and then now it's all 90s in the.
Well, it was late 70s for the first one.
Yeah.
Then 80s, and yeah,
Yeah, great idea.
it was cool. I liked it a lot.
What'd you think about the Christmas special?
I thought the Christmas special was fantastic. These short things that they're doing on
Instead of the Christmas special, I just wanted to watch her come and take his arm, and then just fill in the rest for yourself because I want to know how she got that damn arm.
Oh yeah, I do like how the Guardians have evolved. Like members have been lost, and they added Mantis. They added Karen Gillan's.
Nebula?
Nebula. Duh.
Nebula.
Over the thing, just like the Guardians do. And
Yeah.
who's to know what? And
I did like the trailer for the new one where he's talking about her pretty eyes. They're black. And
they're
so-
black. I can't.
Now that you mention it,
I do like those eyes. Those are really pretty.
I'm as excited.
My father ripped them out and replaced them with.
Oh, she's so good in that
She
role.
is. I love her and everything, man.
And I'm so excited for just to see, just like everybody, Adam Warlock looks like he's gonna be great.
yeah, it looks good.
Craig, you go.
All right. For number 5, I have Werewolf by Night, actually.
Great.
It was
That might be the best hour that Marvel has ever done.
That was so good.
And I will stand by it. I think that could be the best single
Minute
hour.
for minute.
The most powerful, the most
There's no
memorable. Yes, the best hour that Marvel has ever put out.
Black and I mean, even the branding on it, how it was like old school.
Yeah.
don't get-
old
if you don't
monster,
get
old
old
monster
Monster,
hunter,
yep.
and then the black and white was so perfect with just a splash of color here and there.
It was amazing. And then I liked the Man Thing reveal and how it was mostly practical.
How
Yeah.
low tech the whole thing is, but then the effects on Man Thing are just
It's fantastic.
incredible.
In the whole, I just like that group of characters. Like it runs for me.
Like Dracula.
Yeah. Dracula, Blade, all the interconnected, the Bloodstone stuff.
Yeah.
It's the closest thing to me that feels like Justice League Dark-ish.
Yeah,
And I'm not just making the Man Thing, Swamp Thing connection. I'm saying, like, in general, it has that cool, eerie,
It does
like,
have the laziest
mystical
name though.
what, Werewolf by Night?
No, Man Thing.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I mean,
he didn't look like a
They
man.
didn't give it as much. They gave it
He's
about
not
as
a
much
thing.
thought as the rest of it. I
because
love
the other guy looks like a swamp.
like
Yeah.
Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Bernal, being in it, and that's the only way they could because werewolf, a werewolf is a character. How could you have done it? I would have never thought to do it that way, and it was brilliant. And it also shows that Marvel's still taking some risks.
Yeah. It wasn't a
I was
slam dunk
disappointed that it wasn't
bigger than it was.
a limited series because
Oh yeah, I wanted so much more after
as
that.
soon as it was done, I was like, no.
I mean, I am very grateful. Obviously, it's my number 5. I'm grateful for what I have on it. I think that they kind of just dipped their toe in.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that it's done.
There's so much, and especially the way it ends.
yeah. Completely open.
What about that one shot where the things closing behind him? Mm-hmm. He just it was so no fat.
Well, kudos to-
Everything is done well.
Kudos to Marvel for putting in the whole gag with when he's in the coffin at the beginning. That whole thing is
love
so
those.
un-Disney. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like there's a sex joke in there, and it's like
Yeah.
it was awesome.
Get some of the old Vincent Price.
Yeah.
I know I showed you the trailer, Vic. Have you watched that on Disney Plus yet?
Thanks to Nolan, I have seen that, and I enjoyed it very much.
Good. Oh, I'm glad.
Good.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic.
I still struggle with the hero's name, though. It's Lazy Jack Russell.
Jack Russell.
Canine character.
Yes. Yes. I love it.
Is it lazy?
But
or
it's
is
classic.
or is
Brilliant.
it genius? Yeah.
Well, maybe genius. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then Matt, what you got rocking at number 5?
Coming in at number 5, I have the powerhouse that is the Hawkeye
Hawkeye.
show. Introduced us to some good characters. It was a lot of fun, and
Yeah, bro. For sure, bro.
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you, bro.
It did show how formidable Hawkeye is. I like that. And there was one episode.
My favorite thing was when he just turns the hearing aid off when he's tired of
Oh,
listening to
he's
people's
just
shit.
done.
He's just
That
like,
was
eh.
awesome.
Because his daughter's like, is your hearing aid off? It's like, most of the time.
The episode though where he's getting chased by the gang and
Yeah.
on the bridge.
Oh, yeah, the arrow?
and ends with the pimp. That was one of the most enjoyable episodes of TV I can remember.
that
watching.
reminded me of like a 60s comic book.
Oh my gosh,
Because
it was so
That looked like it was
good.
ripped straight out of the...
So good. And Haley Steinfeld, who I loved in True Grit.
Oh my
Haven't thought
God.
much of her since then, especially after seeing Bumblebee. She was great, Kate Bishop.
She made the show, and her compatriot, Yelena,
Oh, Yelena.
anything that either of them, they're both so
The amazing
magnetic.
Florence
The
Pugh.
banter when they're fighting through that.
Oh, I know. When she's just being cute.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like
And Haley's like trying to fight her, and she's
Yeah.
just like, eh.
you could tell it was written to like, all right, guys, try to be cute and charming and likable. It's something you can't just fake.
No.
But
There
they're
was
both
like
so great and so likable.
They just let them go,
Yep,
and then the
yep.
chemistry was amazing. And I love the fact that someone saw Ant-Man in New York, and then they put him in the damn.
he wasn't there.
I know.
Yeah.
They put him in
Yeah.
the. Yeah.
He wasn't really there.
that's honestly, as far as the series go, that one I felt was legitimately allowed to not have any stakes.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Street level.
The stakes
all
were
the
just
way.
replacing. I mean, showing the possible or future replacement for
I've said
Hawkeye.
that 1,000 times in the shop. Like the villain in that entire series was getting home before Christmas.
That's
Right? And that was all it needed to
Which
be.
I've said this before, but
scheduling.
Until the end.
Well, yes.
And was it Swordsman?
yeah,
Was incredible. And you realize he's not a bad guy. He's out. He just wants to have an adventure.
yeah.
I have said it before though, and the one thing I find remarkable about this movie is that his wife was cool with him palling around town with a billionaire, beautiful
Yeah.
21-year-old or whatever she is.
Mockingbird don't care.
Mockingbird don't care. Linda Cardellini isn't sweating that, but yeah. And also, she knows Clint. Clint's a good guy now.
Clint's a good guy now.
He sowed his wild oats.
Now.
So, yeah, I had a rough time because, I doctored my list a little bit, obviously, so we wouldn't all just have the same things over and over and over again. I stand by Werewolf by Night, but I'd say probably Hawkeye would be an honorable mention for me because I like the Fraction run.
Mm-hmm. My honorable mention would be First Avenger, Captain America. It was hard. It was between that or Guardians for 5.
Yeah.
It's the only I believe it had a musical number,
Yeah.
and that
On
was
purpose.
amazing.
For sure.
But it was like they made they made it funny. Like
it was amazing, and it worked.
He turned his hearing aid off, and
Hawkeye, yeah.
Hawkeye
had a great musical number. That one, I guess they were both tongue in cheek. Yeah.
I love that classic scene in Captain America: The First Avenger, where they have a little Marvel Golden Age tribute, where the Human Torch, the original android Human Torch.
Yeah, it was his suit. You see a suit at the Stark Expo.
It's the only one. It's the only film so far with Dum Dum Dugan too.
Love that.
So far, and it was again the great Neil McDonough. Go see A Minority Report, everybody.
Wait a minute, wasn't he in one other one?
He's been in a bunch of stuff. Oh no, he was.
Dum Dum Dugan?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Howling Commandos? Huh. All right, well, I might be remembering
wrong,
wrong. I
but
thought maybe there was a
so
brief
early in.
cameo in another.
No, the only other person in a cameo was the teacher in Spider-Man. The counselor was the grandson of the Korean guy, played by the Korean guy. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
In the event, okay.
I'm complete. What movie was that? No, I'm kidding.
Disclosure?
Yeah.
Adaptation?
Disclosure.
What?
Okay, I'll just keep going. I'll bring it back around.
All right. Yeah. Jamie, get on that, please.
Maybe
I'm
it was
on it.
this TV series.
It
Shield?
could have been the Agents of Shield
I
with
think
it.
maybe
I
they
did
had
not
a cameo
see.
on there with some of the Howling Commandos.
Or maybe Agent Carter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably
Yeah.
more likely. Yeah.
No, not Agent Carter.
What was it? Captain America first.
So
Avenger?
Kenneth Choi played Jim Morita of the Howling Commandos, and he also plays the counselor that rips Peter's ass in the second Spider-Man Tom Holland movie.
I would not have. Okay.
Jeez.
Man.
But Dum Dum.
Marvel continuity
specifically
guys
what I
are
was
working
thinking of.
overtime.
Yeah. So they do watch the movies.
Yeah.
Some of them do. Cool.
It's kind of a weird flex to have to play yourself as your own grandson, but whatever.
I mean, like, who could we have that looks alike? Like, he looks an awfully lot like him.
just give him a mustache.
Yeah. A mustache.
Eventually, I'm going to look much older.
Eventually.
Rick,
Eventually.
number 4.
Thor Ragnarok.
Ooh, nice.
Whoa.
That should be higher.
Great
It
choice.
should be higher. That is probably the funnest MCU
Is
property.
that on anybody else's bingo card?
It's not mine, but it's up there. I love it.
Okay.
It is it's the funnest MCU movie to watch or rewatch for me anyway.
Boy.
That was the perfect mix of the joke and the seriousness.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
But the
That
joke
one-
carried so far. The joke even went into the design of everything was garish, and it was just
Jeff Goldblum rocking it.
it's got the best Hulk storyline.
Really? Yeah.
The only one's the
Oh, yeah,
most
yeah.
compelling.
Closest
Yes.
to World War Hulk.
He doesn't fall in Black
Or,
Widow's chest or
Hulk.
anything in this one, but
My beloved Kate Blanchett being incredible. And then it has that great thing when he jumps off onto the bridge and they're playing the immigrant song to it. Yeah. And he lands and you're just like, it is on.
yeah, that was incredible. But even the opening scene, remember when he's hung up by that chain and he's like waiting to
like
swing
talking
back
to you?
around? Yeah. He's like,
son
just
of a
wait. Yeah.
bitch.
That was fantastic.
Because I don't think it was the first movie that the first Thor movie that let Thor's freak flag fly. People don't realize they got some
Dude, when they cut the
Norse god.
when they cut the dragon's head off or what it was, and it comes into the yes.
It was, I mean,
And then he was showing his shake weight off, and it
but
was a great movie.
Rick, it's your number 4 pick. Why?
Why?
I mean, you've touched on all the really great parts. For me, as an old fan, I really wanted to see Surtur be a character in the films in the Marvel
Yep.
universe.
Beginning.
It's such a big part of Thor's mythology. I love the battle with the Hulk, the arena battle. I thought that was, really exciting, and we needed to see the Hulk in another way.
And introduce Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
Important
Great.
character.
I wish
Defender.
we could have got a Planet
Get us the
Hulk
Defenders.
show or movie though. That's the only thing that's the only detractor for me is it takes away from that, I think. Because
All
we're
I
not
hope
gonna
is
get
that we can see his son.
It's 40-year-old, 12 or 6-year-old.
Yeah, that's what we were waiting for.
Shayne, number 4.
Number 4 for me is Ryan Coogler's Black Panther. Ooh. It had a lot of work to do, and he made it sing.
It's one of the coolest MCU movies. It's got a really good soundtrack too.
Mm-hmm. It stands on its own as its own movie. And he had to make Chadwick T'Challa seem like somebody who could tell all the Avengers what to do. If he was in a room with Reed Richards would defer perhaps to this guy, or at least listen to him, and that's what that movie did. In addition to being just a great action movie.
It is.
Yeah.
But the costume design is one of the most beautiful things I've ever
the Dora
seen.
Milaje in that were
God.
incredible. So Ryan Coogler, I mean, he was coming off of a movie that I didn't think could be pulled off, Creed, and he made something really special, and this one was every bit as good or better than that. And it gave us the great Chadwick. I don't know if a Black Panther 2 could have ever measured up to that, but it certainly set
That's
stakes high.
I'm still evaluating, Wakanda Forever, and I mean because it's unfair because I'm comparing it to Black Panther 1.
Yeah,
and
But that's the problem when you have a sequel, it's going to be compared to the first one.
but it's a Black Panther movie about there not being a Black Panther.
But
I'm always
about
hopeful
not Black Panther.
because Thor 3 is better than 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So I think that was the expectation, right? And okay, well, and I think I don't know what the original plan was, but I think Chadwick was out of the picture. But my understanding is like his family and a lot of other people were talking recasting, not rewriting.
Yeah, his mom said recast. His wife said recast.
I think there needs to be a T'Challa in the MCU.
Yes.
But that movie was it captured a zeitgeist, and like even my niece last year, she was 5 and she was Sherry, and it was incredible. Like we were all walking around doing the saying Ibambe, no matter how annoyed the people around us were. It was a great.
If you do that, Wakanda Forever, it's right over left. Just so you know, that's the proper way.
Dang it,
Just to let you know.
I was crossing myself wrong too.
There it is.
I gotta cause a little controversy here, and I think I've mentioned this to Matt before, and it didn't go over well. But I really was frustrated in the first Black Panther film that Claw didn't end up being like the comic book character.
Oh, Ulysses Claw, but I love that.
But
bait
he
and
so did it
switch.
so well.
Love
He did
that
it
job.
so
I admit
freaking
that
well.
bait and switch.
But I wanted to see the supervillain version that I grew up with and loved so much. It was such a big
and they had
part of
Andy
Black
Serkis,
Panther.
but man, to have Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger, who I never found formidable in this movie, he's not only formidable, but he also makes some excellent points. What a great match! And at the end, when he defeats him, but he's not. Neither one of them feels good about it. Well, Michael B. Killmonger because he just got murdered, but like Chadwick, and then
As you do.
he stays and they watch the sunrise together. What a great movie! What a great film to take that time. It was just.
When he died, what I liked about Killmonger is he also died it on his own.
Yeah.
He
And T'Challa gave him that.
in prison, and he just.
The other thing I feel, as far as Wakanda Forever goes, that I think is my favorite Marvel trailer. As far as like the feels go,
The trailer for that was
the
great.
trailer was incredible.
Between Kedrick and Bob.
Yeah, it was incredible. And then that was my comparison. I felt like it was
It didn't match that trailer.
no, it didn't feel that way at all.
Very few things could though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost cried though when I saw.
Yes,
Namor.
absolutely.
No,
We gon'
not
be
for the reason you're
right.
thinking. I almost cried when I saw Namor.
That Nero is my favorite part of Wakanda Forever. But if I die, you guys make a highlight reel of my life and
We won't.
do it. Theme it to Kendrick.
I'm just kidding.
Theme it to Kendrick.
Now-
Doesn't matter what song.
Here's another thing. I guess because they changed him so much till he's almost unrecognizable. Bill Everett didn't get a moment of credit in the scrolling last part of the film, as far as I could see, and that probably would have hurt his family. I would think.
I think
Because it's like one of the first
had
Marvel
to have
characters
given him-
ever created.
It is the first character.
And they didn't even give him credit for creating it. That's kind
I
of...
thought I saw Bill Everett in there.
Maybe I just overlooked.
Did it say Bill Finger? Is that,
All right, Craig, what is your number 4?
my number 4 is Loki.
Oh,
I'm all aboard Tom's train as far as Loki. I know he was supposed to be small and he was so likable they brought him back. I'm a fan of that, but I also thought that he had it was like a cool buddy cop show.
Oh yeah,
And
Owen Wilson's standout.
Owen Wilson, yes. I mean, and
far out, man. Far out.
Wow.
Wow.
what have you guys ever gotten on YouTube and seen the Wow compilation?
No,
There's somebody spliced together every wow. He's done.
I've seen Melissa Villaseñor's uncanny impression of him though.
It's incredible. So that's worth your time, kids, if you can find the.
Tom Hiddleston is mischievous and likable.
Yes,
It's a hard thing to do.
I like.
Loki is one of the shows I can rewatch pretty much whenever I'm bored or if I need something in the background.
Actual direction as far as where it's going.
yeah.
You know, obviously introducing Kang, but then
All the
also
other Lokis.
all the multiverses.
Jeez, classic Loki.
Stephen Grant.
Yes.
That's that's
was-
it's just cool.
Because he even played it like he was doing Shakespeare. It was everything.
It was awesome.
Oh, and side tangent. If anybody at home who's not seen With Nail and I, track it down. Speaking of Stephen Grant, great film. It'll only
my
add to your
favorite Marvel
enjoyment.
films.
Only add to your enjoyment of this movie. But trust me, when you see it.
But I liked it. I liked the fact that it was completely and totally just all over the place.
I like the Time Variance Authority is just
Yeah.
a job.
Yeah.
It's a job. They go there and
First appearance of Miss Minutes,
miss minutes.
which is that. I mean, the whole thing was fun. I mean, I don't know. I guess part of it is Kang and seeing Jonathan Majors the first time as well. At the end when they walk in and you're like, okay,
And it was out, but so that was right after WandaVision, which every episode we were like, oh, it's probably this, and we were always disappointed. And then this one's probably this. Oh, it actually is, but it actually matched our expectations. Like,
right.
Whoa.
I think it was handled well. I think casting wise, I had zero issues with the show, and I think the adventures that they go on and the whole the mystery as far as who's doing it, and then you find out, it's actually Loki doing it, but not the same version of Loki you're used to, and it's cool how it explained.
We're in the multiverse now.
Yes, we're in the multiverse now, and that was the introduction, and I like the multiverse angle. So that's why I've got Loki at number 4.
And they broke it at the end, so it sets us up going forward.
Yep.
Yep. So in the rotation, it's you. Is it
Matt?
Yeah, it's me.
Matt,
My
number
number
4.
4. Wakanda Forever.
Shut up. Right over left.
It is.
Defend it.
Yep.
Defended?
What was your favorite part of Wakanda Forever?
The first 5 minutes. When it did honestly, it was when it did this. I love the scroll that it did for Chadwick.
Boy, I was getting feels. Yeah.
And then at the beginning, when they kidnapped the seals that were, and to walk him into that was pretty cool.
When that scene was probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, when she's in the courtroom and it does the flashback, in
Yes.
the vault, and they walk out. That's what you're talking about. Yeah. She's like, "Oh, really? Then why were you here at this exact time?"
Dun, dun,
She's like, and then she's just playing a total badass. She's like, "I've been patient, blah, blah, blah." Those aren't the exact words, but she was basically like, "Don't talk to me. Like, I know what you guys are up to."
This is a point of contention though between Rick and I. Namor was my favorite part, and I like this is a different take on him. Sure, like wildly different. You think unrecognizable, but I still see Namor. I still see the proud, king of Atlantis, and very very much about himself. And
Rick has a problem with that. Why don't you tell everybody what your problem with is?
Now I was going by the trailer, seeing what I knew as the Submariner and not recognizing him. I mean, I'm exaggerating because obviously he has the general look of Namor. But it just was so different, I wasn't able to accept it from the trailer. But now that I've seen the film, I think within the body of that particular work, it's a great Namor.
Yeah, that's what
it's just unlike the comic original character, and so I have to pretend like it's someone.
You didn't, as a child, you were not like, "Oh, that's definitely Mayan." And then once you've picked up that it is Mayan, then you're like, "Okay, it's a good job."
It's a good job at being Mayan, but it's not
Right.
Bill Everett's original Submariner.
But they kept his wings on his feet, and I love it.
Who I believe was the influence for Gene Roddenberry's character of Mr. Spock. So that shows you how different Namor would have been had they done it the original way.
As much a look.
So pointy ears and stoic.
I would say so. Also, he's incredibly full of himself.
Oh yeah, if you made like him and Quicksilver, if you made a list of
come
like
on.
Marvel assholes there.
If you've been alive for centuries, you're gonna be a lot to deal with.
And have you seen his abs? Yeah. He can back it up.
Well, they didn't do themselves any favors by saying that this guy didn't even know how to swim when they hired him. That played Namor, and of course it was going to be dry for wet, so it didn't matter. But
No,
that's not a good publicity stunt.
last night I watched like the behind the scenes on that one, and there was like the lady was his first in command. Like she's going through this interview. She's like, I didn't even speak English before I started this movie. I was like, what?
Selma Hayek didn't speak English before she was in Desperados.
Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
There's another thing that bugged me too. Atuma is a fantastic, powerful, repeating Marvel villain who's been in the mythology for decades, and they couldn't even get that right. His helmet is so distinctive, and they didn't even try and approximate anything close to it. And he didn't have the kind of role that he should have had. I don't know he didn't have his trident that has the big wide wedges on it.
Did you not like Namora either then?
Well, and it was Namorita in the very beginning in the old days.
Namorita's the daughter now.
I guess that's what it is now.
Yeah. I was wanting that so we could get a new Warriors eventually.
I don't know. She didn't do much, to me in the film. I didn't pay much attention to her.
The one thing I want to know about Wakanda in the MCU period, we talked about this earlier, is does mass matter?
That's my hardest part with it is Shuri's way too small.
I mean, there has to be a reason why T'Challa was ripped like he was all the time.
It's like, why work out if it's just take the heart-shaped herb and that's that?
Yeah, exactly.
When you see Chris Evans before he did Captain America, he was fit, but he wasn't.
No, he wasn't jacked like
He was as
He was not American's ass.
And they didn't ask
America's
maybe
ass.
they didn't ask the actress who plays Shuri to do that, but it would have been kind of cool if she would have, just to get some bulk and look like she could handle herself. As it was, she looked like a frail schoolgirl who could never defeat Namor.
Well, she had a hairdryer, so.
Well, and that's where the explanation
She
for
had a dry towel.
Here's a couple naps.
that's the I guess that's the part for me, like especially.
I totally believe her as a scientist. She does a good job. She's
That was the thing too. She went from being
She just looks like
She's a good
combatant.
she went from being in the chair
To being
to running the
Batman,
show,
right?
and
They need T'Challa.
And well, I said, I'm like, from the first to the second Spider-Man Tom Holland movie, could you see Ned go from the chair to being Spider-Man in the second one?
Yes, I mean it's a good example, and plus, I absolutely love M'Baku anyway. Like I think
God, he's my
That's what I
favorite.
wanted. I wanted M'Baku so
Because-
bad to be.
I bought his first appearance just because I got it graded. I love it. I love
a great issue.
that scene where they're in
Winston Duke.
Winston Duke.
Yeah.
They're holding court in there, and he's like sitting there munching on that carrot.
Yeah.
just like
not
whatever.
giving a care.
Yeah, it's-
Plus, Winston Duke is Batman.
he's Batman.
He is Batman.
Great.
Batman Unburied.
Great
Yes.
song.
If you haven't heard it on Spotify, Batman Unburied is a series. He's the voice of Batman. It's fantastic.
Listen to it right after you finish this podcast.
Yes, don't turn ours off.
This one first.
So
Oh,
we're-
and real quick, I think Angela Bassett, we can all agree, was objectively the best part of it.
she's fantastic.
She was great.
She should have won an Oscar 20 years ago, but if this is her time, hey.
She's a force to be reckoned with for sure.
She did go out a little easy though.
Yeah, the drowning thing.
She drowned in like 3 seconds. But she not even trying.
Since this is the theme, if you guys haven't seen What's Love Got to Do with It with Angela Bassett and Lawrence Fishburne, the aforementioned Lawrence Fishburne, go home and see it right now after you finish this episode and the Spotify and with Neil and I.
And then after that, How Stellar Got Her Groove Back.
It's a great movie. All right? I'm sorry.
You're sounding very unwhite there.
Me?
Yeah.
What?
No, he just
What?
Jesus.
that took a turn. Angela Bassett
Trying to be
is
funny relating back to your old statement.
No.
It's a good movie.
But going back to that area to now, I mean, she looks fantastic.
She does.
She's a beautiful woman.
It's like 20 years ago, everybody fan cast her as Storm, and then I watched this movie. I was like, I'd like her to be Storm.
Yeah.
Except for the part where now that she's already played T'Challa's mother instead of wife.
No. I think it should be Beyonce, but
No, I hear you.
since she can actually control the weather. Who are we up to?
We're up to Rick, number 3. Ricker.
Captain America: Civil War, I think, is like it
Nice.
knocked me out of my seat when I saw
Nice, nice,
That was
my
the
mate.
Marvel movie I've
Was it
been
just
waiting
the
for.
sheer volume of heroes?
It was, and it all worked. They had everything that you wanted to see.
You saw-
Even
you could-
Giant Man or
you could see
Ant-Man
the-
showing up in that way.
You could see the fracture that was going to. You could see. Well, the fracture made sense. It wasn't a.
You see both sides?
It wasn't a Martha thing.
Right.
This one made
You
sense.
see both sides.
And
I don't care.
introduction
He
of Black
killed
Panther.
my mom.
Introduction of Black Panther done
can all-
really well.
Most of us can relate.
Yeah.
It's up there. It's good for sure.
The introduction of Spider-Man could have been cheap, and it was great. He was so excited to be there that he kept talking like
Introduction
exactly
to
what
T'Challa.
Peter, which again, like, no, he deserves his own movie. It's like, oh, he was pretty good here.
Yeah.
You know, in comic fandom, one of the main things that we all grew up with was two lines of heroes facing each other, or villains in some cases, getting ready to pounce on each other. And it's always like a comic book cover, to get you to buy the issue.
Yep.
And this was that in a movie and for real.
And it sure was.
How
And
can you beat that?
There's little moments too where Hawkeye encounters Black Panther on the airport tarmac, and he was like, "We haven't met. I'm Clint." And then Black Panther says, "I don't care." But then when they're on the field at the end of Infinity, at the end of Endgame, he said, "Clint, give it to me because a king will remember. T'Challa remembers." Little things like that. Yeah, I was touched by that when he in Endgame when he did that. I was like, I was touched. Like,
Well, in the banter between Captain America and Spider-Man, like Brooklyn.
Queens.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and
Yep.
it was wonderful. And that was such a comic book. Oh,
Yeah.
it was so well done. But I also like the movie, not that, but like, because Cap and Iron Man are compromised and they're the two, heads. The head, Tony, and the heart, Cap, are taken out. But the movie gives you T'Challa, the head, and Spidey, the heart. And you get to like, okay.
That's a great observation.
And it's I love that. I love that. And at the end when T'Challa's like, you know what? I'm bigger than all of this. This is just, I'm just
Well,
going to be done.
As far as movies to comic book comparison, that one is the one that I think the movie did better.
Way better.
Because to be honest, I was like, oh, great, because I have every single issue, every single tie-in of Civil War, and I feel like it in the book itself, through the comic series, I'm just kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it went on for 11 years,
No, I don't.
12 years straight. It seemed like in the 2000s. It seemed
I
like
think it was the summer, but yes, every single book, every single book.
Yeah.
It was like X-Men was a tie-in. I mean, and it makes sense. It was cool in the size, in the scale of it, but as far as the stakes, like you can take all of that, and I enjoyed the Captain America Brubaker work where he actually ended up getting killed and all of that stuff.
Some of the best
way
stuff
more
ever.
And I think I've said it before, but that was the one time during Marvel when I've been reading Marvel, I appreciated Annihilation and everything that was going on in space infinitely more than I appreciate what was happening on Earth.
they were doing great stuff up there.
Because that was Illuminati sends them away. That's road to Civil War. So Hulk's doing Planet Hulk.
Planet Hulk.
Annihilation's going on, and then we had Civil War at home, and I'm like, how is this third place?
Yeah.
So
And then Annihilation kind of
so in that saying, it's a compliment. Civil War was way better than that.
Yeah.
So satisfying.
And I don't mean to take anything away from Batman v Superman because it is a fantastic DC movie. I just
agree.
absolutely love it. However, Cap versus Iron Man might be
Boy.
a little bit better, or at
How
least
exciting.
close.
What about when Iron Man and the Winter Soldier
Nasty shield three-way at the end.
tossing the shield back and
Yeah.
forth, and or capping them.
I was on the edge of my seat.
yeah.
I mean, I felt every punch.
And
every
Tony's
blow.
keeping up for a while.
Plus and it was like a pull the rug out for me a moment when you find out that he wasn't going there to create more or to unleash these people on the world. He was going there to stop them, period. Which is one of the...
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and Baron Zemo. What'd you
Baron
think of him?
Zemo.
What'd you think of him?
Love it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Daniel
answer.
Bruhl. Oh,
He can do no wrong.
it's fantastic. And if you guys have never seen Rush, you should all see
Oh,
Rush.
I
It's
love
a
Rush.
Great
I
film.
love Rush.
It's a great film.
He did that so well.
Yeah.
Hemsworth's in there too.
Ah, man. Ooh, yeah.
Yes, he is.
That's your Thor versus Baron Zemo.
Yep.
It's very apparent that you're quite the film fan. I don't know if we've ever addressed
I know more
that.
about movies and comics,
That's amazing, really. Yeah.
which between you and me, Harry, is saying something.
That's awesome.
My number 3 is Jon Favreau's Iron Man.
That is also my number 3, so we'll just wrap that together.
Let's just go.
No, you
Well,
please.
So people said it was a gamble, and I had high hopes. One, like Robert Downey Jr., I liked everything. I loved Less Than Zero. I loved Chaplin. The only thing I didn't like was when he like woke up in his neighbor's daughter's crib. Everything else was pretty good. I liked what was the one he did with Marissa Tomei? Chances Are.
Yeah.
Once Around.
I mean, it's really the actor version of the comic book character.
He had gone through it.
Through those very
oh my
things,
gosh, yeah.
He'd been practicing all of his life.
all his life. And then Jon Favreau, who was coming up. So I love
We've talked about
Swingers.
this before with Jon Favreau.
Yeah. So he directed Made, which if you guys have never seen Made, you should see it. But he was coming off of Zathura, which was so good.
It was.
And I'm like, this guy can make a comic movie. He also made Elf, which is great.
He made the Mandalorian, Elf.
Yeah, so he was coming
MCU,
off of Zathura, and I'm like, this guy can very good Jungle Book as far as live action adaptations go. And the movie, it has to build a foundation. It didn't even know it then, but it did. Like the movie was so strong that it built an entire universe, a $1 billion franchise off the back of it. It's also got the most, in my head, the most practical effects of any of them. And the stakes are relatively low. And it's another one. I'm a big fan of Silver Age comic book movies because it's hard to pull off, and they do. I mean, his first generation is very comic.
It was shocking because in that universe, if you're building towards Avengers, you don't think Iron Man first. Iron Man is, you think Captain America first.
Cap first,
Right? I mean, it doesn't really make sense, but like...
But
and retro.
looking back, though, because I watched a lot of film and stuff on it, they didn't even have a script when they started shooting.
Which is crazy because it's such a tight film.
No, it fits together very well.
Yeah, but no, they were doing it on the fly. Like him and Robert Downey were writing it.
Yep.
It also has the peerless Bridges, Jeff Bridges, as Obadiah Stane.
It's what he calls it. He called it a $300 million college movie, basically, because that's how it was ran. There was no.
And he would know about good.
Yeah.
He worked for the Coens. He knows what a set's supposed to be ran like.
The humor was awesome as far as like, I remember the first time I saw it where he's building all the stuff and Jarvis is like the stupid arm or, or like him crashing and
you
stuff.
know what? Just stop. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and that for me at the time, I went and saw it in the theater probably 4 times.
Oh.
Because I saw it myself. I saw it with one friend, and then I'm like, well, my other friend has to see it. I'm going too.
We need to spread this word.
Yeah,
and the work. It was the last work done by the incomparable Stan Winston. He did the design of the suit.
Yep.
And again, the design was so strong that they're still using versions of that.
It's fantastic.
It's a great film.
Can I be a devil's advocate again, as I usually am?
By
Sure.
all means.
I took a date to that premiere.
Okay.
And I noticed she dropped out during the final battle. It didn't hold up with intensity for her. And after I talked with her about it, I kind of think maybe that is a weak place in the film, the last 5 or 6 minutes.
Well, they do set up. They have a recurring theme after Iron Man was the hero is just fighting a different version of themselves, and they kept with that too far. But it was when I saw that, I was excited because I was expecting to go see a goofy, like Spider-Man. 3. Okay.
Yeah.
It's got its good points, but it's kind of a goofy movie now to look back on. Mm-hmm. But Iron Man 3 made all the goofiness serious, and it made it good. It made it like I don't know. I felt like something was changing because even Incredible Hulk, I thought was just an okay movie.
It was just an okay movie. Yeah.
But I mean, it happened the same year, and this has a different direction.
Iron Man is so good that it came out the same year as The Dark Knight, and we're still talking about Iron Man.
Yeah.
Dark Knight should have eaten
stopped the conversation.
All the other ones, yeah. But Iron Man, yeah, it held its weight.
I'm grateful that it started. It launched all the ships.
That great scene where he looks over his shoulder or whatever, and the explosion happens behind him.
Oh, no, when he fires it and then walks away, and he's walking like he's in a metal suit. Oh,
it was amazing.
That's the coolest scene.
Such a badass.
So, Matt, number 3.
My third favorite MCU property is She-Hulk, the television show.
All right.
I'm noticing a running theme here.
Come on, man.
You have a crush on the actress, maybe, but I don't think it's
That's Craig. But no, she's a beautiful woman.
She was wonderful, and she was well cast.
Yeah.
And then the decision was quit being good.
Yeah. pretty quickly.
Yeah, they were like, all right, we're not gonna have anybody direct. We're not gonna have anybody write. We're not gonna do the effects.
Does anybody have a camera?
One of you guys will film it with an iPhone.
Scar is going to look like he's 45.
So-
Even though he's 6.
Scar. Finally, the world finally got to see Scar. All the fans have been waiting for.
That was a little bit.
The best part of that show was one of our customers here, Tyler. He's on Whack Comics on YouTube. It's a shout out for him. But they had a cancer drive that they do every year. And if they hit over a certain dollar amount, he and the other people involved in his channel got the Scar haircut. And I'll never forget, he walked in here. He's usually wearing a Notre Dame hat every time. And he takes that hat off and he's got his head shaved in front, halfway to the top of his head. It's so ridiculous. Like, it's one of the funniest, smartest things you could do.
That'd be fine if they just forgot that they introduced that character there.
Yeah.
I think that show was really just, it was less about the story and more about introducing She-Hulk for future projects, but the show suffers because of it.
I think it's almost a exercise in what they can get away with. How can they? How much viewership can they retain by making something that's directionless and then at the end meaningless? Because the last episode takes meaning out of anything that happened in the show.
Yeah.
I mean, she'll tell you that she smashed Matt Murdock again, but
Yeah.
it's
And it could have been cool. Like, I like the manipulating the Disney home screen was a cool, like, oh, neat, we're finally doing the She-Hulk fourth wall thing. And then everything after that was just, that's right, nobody has any idea what they're doing.
yeah. So
A movie, just because a show points out how bad it is doesn't make it clever.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Rick.
Well, Infinity War to me was everything I had always hoped for in a Marvel film. I saw the action with the heroes that I loved at the grandest scale possible, and I can't imagine, other than the fact that they didn't follow Jim Starlin's true story and exactly the way I wanted.
Nebula would have had it, right?
They did a great version with what characters had been developed so far, and I just thought it was fantastic. And I stayed in my seat and watched it again immediately right after it was over. I thought it was fantastic.
Same day?
Same day.
Nice.
The scene right off the bat where Cap is basically running the therapy session.
you're thinking of Endgame.
Is that Endgame?
Yes.
Infinity War, we don't.
Oh,
First
that
we
was
see
after
Cap.
the snap.
And
That's right.
Infinity War has one of the best reveals I think ever. Is when Scarlet Witch and Vision are getting their asses handed to them, and then
Train.
the
Yeah.
train, and then you see Cap.
was messing
I
up.
mean, I yelled when I saw that. I was like, yeah!
And he just catches the spear.
He just catches it. He does like some little
Catches it.
half turn.
And it took me to the second or third viewing where it's like he blacked out the star, he blacked out the Stars and Stripes. Like he's straight up nomad now. He is.
Yeah.
He does not believe in this anymore. After the events of
Yeah, that's the one that started with Loki getting killed. I'm sorry.
Well, and it negated basically everything good that happened in Ragnarok because they were the first ones to get screwed royally.
yeah. But then they sent Hulk back instead of Silver Surfer to warn us, and then
To me, what I needed really badly was for the villain, like in The Dark Knight, where the Joker was fantastically portrayed by Heath Ledger and really made you kind of scared of what might happen.
yeah, you don't know.
Thanos was so powerful and
Can they
killing
pull it
people
off?
left and right. You started wondering, can they possibly win? Which, we all know is, going to have this ending we're expecting. But yet there was some question to it because it was so dramatic.
If you look at Endgame, though, he must have. They need to have a more level playing field when it comes to powers and how. Like in Civil War, we meet Peter, and he is talking smack to the Winter Soldier and Falcon and taking them to town at the same time. And it's not even.
You have a metal arm?
He's just like messing with them the entire. The same with. Because the end of Infinity War.
That's changed in the comics too. They can't decide how strong Spider-Man actually is.
I know.
I wanted out there,
Hulk
though,
is.
that I did not think Endgame was any good compared to Infinity War. Like, I could
Well, no,
watch.
what I'm saying is that Thanos
War
was so
alone.
much more powerful 8 years or whatever, how much younger he was. Because he was fighting Cap, Iron Man, and Thor, and doing a really good job of kicking their ass.
Infinity War also ends with that despair where
And Doctor Strange and who else was there?
Well,
Talking about, I'm sorry, during that fight that you're talking about.
Well, I'm saying it was the three of them, and then everything else is going on around it in Endgame. But at the end of Infinity War, Thor throws a damn axe while he's got the gauntlet on, and it goes right through that crap, goes into his chest. I'm just saying it was a weird power.
Oh, the one in Wakanda. I'm mixing the movies up so poorly. I'm sorry.
But the end of Infinity War, where Cap, the beacon of hope, looks around and says, "Oh God," and then it ends.
Well, this goes back to my love of The Walking Dead, how everything is depressing. It's hopeless. It seems hopeless.
It was a good change for them to lose for once, because they never lose.
Yeah, they took a loss, and the movie ended. That's it. Yeah,
and they could have gone with that, but
I was also grateful that it was only 6 months to wait.
Yeah,
because
I thought it was a year.
It would have driven me crazy.
It's about a year.
It was summer to summer. They pulled a.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as far.
No, it wasn't 2 years or 3 years.
It wasn't 2 years like we were between Avengers movies. It was
or Batman.
Yeah,
it was more like Lord of the Rings, where they filmed it all together and just released them a year apart.
3 years.
But unfortunately, Endgame isn't even in my top 6, so they really let me down on the.
Endgame did
whatever.
Infinity War.
As soon as Cap had the hammer, I didn't care about anything.
Oh well,
Yeah.
you took my. I was going to say later.
Definitely some
I'll
great
do our
moments.
favorite moments, but
So no, sorry. Well, we can still talk about moments for sure. But
my number 2 is the 2012 first Avengers movie from Joss Whedon.
it's a good one.
Did all the heavy lifting.
You know what the only problem I had with that entire movie?
The old Captain America suit.
No, not at all. It was that they had lasers in World War II, and somehow they just disappeared.
Oh yeah,
Like the Nazis straight up had lasers, and then that technology was lost, or what?
Like growing up, we learned about Nazi lasers.
Well, not everybody.
I think
guess.
you probably went to a public school.
I did go to
About
public school.
Nazi lasers.
I went to public school.
Yeah, so yeah, Nazis had lasers. They had laser technology.
Okay.
But again, like going back, they made a Silver Age movie.
Yeah.
Like and again, like the original, the first villain of the Avengers was Loki. Hawkeye was a bad guy, and this movie just subtly gets all of it.
Well, he was a good guy who got caught in a bad situation.
Well, and here he just gets kind of brainwashed. He's a good guy who gets whatever. And this movie, and it again, like I love Ultron and Infinity War and Endgame, but they have to do a lot of work to do what Avengers did with just 5 or 6 characters. The old fashioned Cap suit. It wasn't anything like, and again, like the stakes were big, like but they weren't universe ending. They weren't reality ending. He wasn't going to snap half of existence out of half of people out of existence. I think it was a great movie that doesn't get enough credit now that we've seen 11 years on what these movies can do. But at the time, it was incredible to see, like, wait, there's all these superheroes in one movie, and still, its rewatch value is huge.
And like Black Widow and Captain America teaming up for some stunts together.
Man.
That's very comic booky, and I loved that.
When Iron Man lands on the bridge with Cap, and he first deflects his beam.
That's the kind of stuff you're looking for.
Yeah. And again, Hawkeye took crap for that, but watch that movie. Hawkeye's boss in that movie. Him and Black Widow, but they're people, they're human beings, just regular guys out there, and they're not just not dying, they're contributing to these gods that are fighting. Yeah. And when Cap, I'm telling, when they land and Tony says, "Call it, Cap," and so Tony's finally giving him, like, okay, maybe you do know what you're doing, and then Captain America gives you field directions for the first time, and he knows exactly what to do. It was incredible, and Hulk smash. I mean, if you can watch that movie and not just grin ear to ear, then I'm sorry that you
It's a great
have no
film.
soul.
Yeah, I mean, Joss got it.
Just got it.
Yeah, for sure.
In the same way that he didn't get Justice League when he did it.
Boy, did he not. Big swing and a miss.
Yeah.
And then after that, he set fire to the stadium.
Where we at for number 2? Is that me?
Yep.
For number 2, I have Spider-Man No Way Home, with an asterisk next to it being the first time I saw it. Just
Oh no,
So-
it's not.
And I've still
talked
not seen
about
it a
this.
second time, so I don't know how that plays. Because
That's
No.
my first pick, so I'm in
So
on
the
this.
first time I saw it, I was blown away. Everything was magical. I was in the theater yelling, and it was great. That second time I saw it, it felt like a different movie because all the twists are going to take place. So for me, and I didn't mean to steal this from you, but for me, it it didn't have the same. I wish I could go back and watch it for the first time again.
I'm that way, but it's still number 2 for me because the moments in it
Oh, the
are
Daredevil.
still the moments.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
Because
I lost mine.
no, when
The audience actually corrected, a big sound.
Oh, I
when that
lost it
Daredevil
when
event
Matt.
happened. Sorry.
what movie are we talking about?
No Way Home.
What was that? What was that? Is that Spider-Man movie? I'm just kidding with you. No, you're talking about when Garfield gets the chance to save Gwen Stacy. Like that moment.
That was
I
great.
honestly 100%. I completely lost it
Jesus.
in the theater.
Jesus.
And I know I'm
Does it like land and say, "Are you okay?"
yes. And with that part, the acknowledgement of the "Are you okay?" Like I still can't think about it without getting a little bit like
he sees that
close to it.
he sees that Tom Holland's Peter Parker can't do it, and he's like, "No, not again,
Not again.
And this time, he is in time.
Yes.
It's the ending, and then like Toby getting to like fight Green Goblin again. It's
Yes.
the ending to 3 trilogies at once. It's
I thought it did that very well. And I agree in the sense that I have watched it again. And overall, the excitement of that it's the same thing. And I'm not saying it's going to do the same thing with the Flash trailer, but just seeing Keaton brought me back. It gave me, I smell 1989. I feel 1989. It transported me to that time. And the same thing happened with No Way Home because Toby, like I was at a completely different spot in my life. Like those movies at that time were the greatest things to happen to me. I'm like, this stuff that I grew up
Absolutely.
reading
Absolutely.
is being taken seriously. And Sam Raimi, like I think he did them justice. I love those movies.
thank goodness he got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Semi-local guy
Semi-local.
from Southern Michigan.
I was gonna say Michigan. Yeah,
That's awesome. So No Way Home is on my list as number 2.
and again, when they suit up and they formulate their little plan and they put their masks on and they all jump at once, you're just like, again, this is
can't
why we
beat
read the comics. folks.
Spider-Man being
This
Spider-Man.
is why we do it.
And the most important part of that movie is the death of May was I did not that's one of the
gosh.
things I can honestly say I did not see coming at all.
Yep.
Usually I'm pretty good at reading that stuff, but
No, I would have never thought they would have.
I mean, and you had all 3 types of the different like quippy teenager like stuff. I mean, Toby was a little bit older, so he was kind of they did a good job because he was kind of grown out of
like
that.
Parker did.
Right. But, Garfield was still a little, he was I will rank that too. Like I think he was my favorite Spider-Man as far as verbal Spider-Man. As far as the quippy like dad jokey
His delivery is great.
delivery.
Well,
I think Tom does it better
I
for
think
me.
Tom does it better, but Andrew Garfield got the like the prick. Sometimes
Smart ass prick is what I'm talking about. That's what
sometimes
I'm talking
you're like
about. yeah.
Spider-Man. Like, your villains hate you so much because you're such a jerk. Why you're punching them in the face?
Right, yeah.
And that's what Andrew Garfield did. Now, Rick, hold on, just real quick. I noticed something at the end of the movie that I don't see pointed out, but whenever Spider-Man something like big happens in the comics and he has to reset, he goes back to his classic suit. And in the end of this movie, after everybody's lost their memory and everything, he for the first time you see like the homemade bright blue and red.
No Stark Tech.
Yeah, for the first time, and I thought that was a really cool thing.
That
Now it's like a new chapter.
That's very important to me because that one problem I have with the Spider-Man films, which is strange because really this movie fixes a lot of the problems there were. I've always hated is that they've made it so that Peter, who is a science nerd and brilliant, didn't even invent his own web shooters. To me, they had to get it from Stark and his costume
such a
and all
leg
that
up.
stuff. That's baloney.
And I get that he
Peter
had to,
Parker invented his own stuff.
Like he was worked into it, like into the machinery, But yeah, I am
Tom
glad
did
to see
too,
this.
though. Tom did. Tom made his own because when in Civil War,
That was
when-
how the whole BS thing that Tony shows up was like he won that scholarship or whatever.
yeah, because he's like
They make him
he
brilliant.
throws them at him and he just lets him go by.
But they
I
do give
hung
him.
on to the other version.
They do
so
give
long
him.
and
He
been
does have
angry
much
about
more
it.
of a leg up.
Oh yeah, he's got
Yeah.
Iron Man suits basically.
Yeah.
Which is fine because
It's useful when you're on the outside of a rocket.
Iron Spider was given to him
it's great.
during Civil War, so that's at least accurate and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's great. Matt,
Number 2.
number 2.
It's the second film in this trilogy. It's Iron Man 2.
See, I like this movie.
These are all hits right here.
I like this movie.
Keep 'em coming. Oh man, I can't wait till number 1. I'm so excited to tell you my pick.
Rockwell's Justin.
Oh,
Hammer
no, Rockwell was
great.
the best part.
I hope they bring
of-
him back for Armor
They need to
Wars.
bring him back because he
Yeah.
didn't die. He's just in jail or whatever. But Iron Man 2, like with Sam Rockwell, I love him so much.
I didn't think I
Moon,
could.
which is a great movie. You should watch that when we're done here.
Hey, I'm just saying. Also,
Jojo Rabbit is probably my favorite.
Oh my
most
God,
recent.
yes.
David Gordon Green's Snow Angels. Man, I am that guy. It's great. Whatever. I saved you a viewing of Charlie's Angels.
But they and the only time we really see Tony with his classic problems is in Iron Man 2 too. I mean,
Yes. Oh, yeah,
he's a little bit drunky. He's a little bit out of control.
Boy, when he's DJing in the Iron Man suit, it is that's a hard.
How do you go to the bathroom in that
watch.
suit?
It's a hard one to get through.
I needed to see Whiplash though, as an Iron Man fan.
What do you think
Yeah.
of that Whiplash?
I mean, for a film version, I think it's okay. I would have liked to see the exact comic version, of course, but it's pretty close.
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, that
He looks like
casting
someone
choice.
who could actually do some fighting.
Well,
Yeah.
people that play with whips usually have scars all over their body because they hit themselves, and that's an interesting. Either he's really good at whipping stuff, or he is immune to all.
I was impressed with the suitcase suit.
Yeah, that was pretty
Oh, it was
cool.
awesome.
Very comic book.
That was that was probably my favorite part of that movie.
The one thing I wish they would have changed back was, do you remember the trailer for Iron Man 2?
No.
In the trailer for Iron Man 2, there's a scene where he asks for a kiss, and Pepper has his
Peppa.
Peppa Pig has his helmet. And she kisses his helmet and then throws it off the back of the plane.
That's nice.
And then he jumps and gets it, and they cut that in the movie.
Huh. That is a good moment.
It is a very good moment. And then the back, they made Tom Holland there. They kind of put Spider-Man in, the kid playing Iron Man. They eventually said that was Spider-Man. You know what I'm talking about at the end?
No.
The kid that was wearing the Iron Man suit.
Oh.
They're saying that's basically Peter Parker.
I wonder how that works with the timeline.
Yeah, that actually fits in though.
It was cool. That was a cool moment. Well, okay, and just to go back to the Andrew Garfield, like the one thing that I like in those movies that stands out is at the end of 2 when the little kid stands up to Rhino and Spidey comes on and is like, you like something like, you're doing great. You mind if I take over? You're like, okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
There's a Spider-Man
It's
moment.
that.
right?
It's
There's
that.
a real Spider-Man moment.
But the Rhino. Oh, gosh.
Paul Giamatti would have been cast well too if they were just like
I
not
did that wrong.
Put him in a rhino suit.
Yeah, not with everything else after that.
No, I'm not.
I'll tell you what the Andrew Garfield movies are missing. You mess with one of us, you
mess with all of us. Yeah. That was cool though at the time.
No, it was. I loved it.
It was perfect.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But when I first saw it, when I first saw the thing hit Green Goblin, I thought Daredevil was going to be on the bridge. That's how convinced I was that Daredevil was going to be in that movie. I was reading the Kevin Smith run at the time because Marvel Knights. Yeah.
We still have they have not met.
Nope. Well, no. Besides, not in costume, but he was his lawyer.
Yes. Right. So
Rick,
number
one.
Well, we've already been on the subject because I did pick Spider-Man No Way Home as my favorite Marvel film of all time. But I did want to touch on one other thing. We enjoyed Heath Ledger as the Joker. We enjoyed Thanos. But the Goblin, when he went nuts on Peter, that is one of the most exciting fight scenes in a Spider-Man movie ever.
And in No Way Home, he brings it back. Like, what a great reprise.
it was fantastic.
He's still menacing. He's still, and it's like, was it the other personality or not? The way he does it.
Well, that's to go back to the Raimi thing. I'm sorry, the one thing, but it's completely related to that fight. I have never seen battle damaged Spider-Man at the end of one when the bombs go off and then all this stuff. And remember when he shoot it hurt to hear it. Even that sound or that weird squeak he makes.
Yeah.
When he hits he shoots the webs at him, whatever else, and he's like straining against something, and then Goblin, I forget if it's like a kick or what it is, but it's played perfectly.
Yes.
Like he's
Like
just
meat.
getting beat up. Yeah. I
I
mean,
had the figure of the battle damage. Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Now, here's a
think I did
question.
too.
Do you guys think that in No Way Home, Willem Dafoe knew that they were filming a movie?
That's just William
Does
Dafoe.
that not seem like, well,
Yeah. He puts in some bad
is
teeth
he
and
okay
goes at it.
today? Nope.
Yeah, I don't know.
And also Alfred Molina in that was a great Doc Ock.
He's one of my favorites. I think
was great.
He's the definitive Doc Ock in my mind.
Those are big shoes. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll never replace him.
It's a great pick. Spider-Man No Way Home is a great film.
It is a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a good film.
Shayne, number one.
My number one, have we touched on? I think okay. Well, me and Craig have the same one.
Yep.
So we might as well.
Same as number 1.
Aw.
Yeah. Well, hey, we have the
So
same number 3 and same
cute.
number 1. And Rick, you were gonna say something?
Oh, I'm realizing I'm way too late.
No, not at all.
But I will say there was one part of Spider-Man No Way Home that I absolutely hated as a comic fan. Hated. One of my biggest hates ever was when they were all seeing the different villains captured, and so Doc Ock is, prisoner, and they make fun of his name.
It was terrible. It was
That
terrible.
made
I
me
agree.
so mad. I almost got up out of the theater.
I do agree.
You got to name him like Peter Parker, and you're going to make fun of Otto Octavius. I mean, come on.
And I do wish they do that in the new Ant-Man too. They make fun of the MODOK now. I do wish they'd quit making fun, like in Black Widow, where they make fun of the way she lands. Like, all right, guys, they're doing the comic book thing, so quit making fun.
Quit making fun.
That was
because
weird.
That's
They,
part
like-
of the mythology.
They did that because she was making fun of her off screen, and then one of the writers heard it and laughed and thought it was funny, and they
it's
added the
fine.
movie.
Just keeping the extra features next time. Also, we can't keep talking about No Way Home this much without talking about the perfect Zendaya. Just
Wonderful.
anyway, yeah. I would tell you to go see Greatest Showman, but no one should ever see that movie ever. It's
Oh,
terrible.
I liked it. Of course.
I
because I'm
like
always the opposite
there's a
opinion.
musical number with Hugh Jackman and Zac Efron, but I mean that could have been in any movie and rocked. Anyway, number 1.
But Ned laughing at Doc Ock, that really, 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 among all three of them, that really bothered me.
It did rankle.
Ned has no reason to be laughing at Doc Ock.
Not, especially when he's going to become the Goblin next movie. Craig, do you want to announce it?
No,
Oh, it is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
that is correct.
Far and away the best film Marvel has made.
Quality film.
It was a sea change in the whole thing. The aesthetic was different.
One problem with it.
Russo brothers. Fantastic.
I loved the beginning when
When
Nick
they
is
infiltrate the ship.
when Nick is getting chased down through the streets.
Oh yeah.
That was great, except for the culmination of that did not make any sense. He's got a laser in his car that's powerful enough to go through like 4 feet of concrete.
The
And
bottom
he's
is-
not shooting it at the dude,
like just
trying to kill him.
yeah,
no.
there.
What's not making sense to you? It only works.
I've got one of those.
What I want to know
It
is
has to go.
how
through
did he
the-
know
it has
that
to go
there was
through
a
the floorboard to actually,
How did he
actually
know that
focus
there
enough
was
to get through the concrete?
a cavity there underneath the car in the first place? 'Cause
great-
it could have been 30 feet of solid
was
ground.
communicating-
Fury, he knows. I love that line though when it was such. You could tell that Joss Whedon did a pass the script when the cops pull up next to him. They're looking at him. He's like, "You want to see my lease?"
Yeah,
I'm going with that fancy beeper of his. He also has communication with the Ninja Turtles. That's how that was. That's
Nick
how that worked.
Fury.
out.
I don't. There's nothing I'm going to put past Nick Fury. It was such a. They said that it was inspired by like 70s political thrillers like 3 Days with the Condor, which is great. And not only that, but like they actually got Robert Redford. They got Robert Redford to be in a Marvel movie, and boy did he show up for it.
and they got Jenny Agutter to be in a Marvel
true.
movie.
Logan's Run, my
Yes.
dream girl.
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Yes,
She was there.
I love that movie.
So why did you? I mean, I felt like. I'm sorry. I'm trying to
I know.
get back to like I love the tangents and whatnot, but like specifically for you, Shayne, like why is it number 1 over everything else?
Okay, so it put it in the real world in a way that the other ones maybe hadn't, except maybe Iron Man. But also they were superheroes. Like this was Captain America, and it was the last time that Marvel allowed any sort of earned cynicism into their movies. Now it's snark. It's not earned cynicism. Like they convince you that Cap was losing faith in the system that his whole life was built around. And what does that do to somebody? And then at the end of it, he's still Captain America. He doesn't lose himself. Like he still knows what his version of America's supposed to stand for. He still knows. And at the end, when he like makes everybody make the choice, and some of them do, even though like Matt says that would never happen, which it wouldn't, obviously. But in this Captain America movie, yeah, some people go with Cap. And again, having Robert Redford, making it like an actual thriller, but also making it very comic book. Like Arnim Zola is comics accurate. Like they straight up make him, and it's also it's a better Black Widow movie than the Black Widow movie.
Precisely. That's the other thing too. Like I loved their chemistry as far as like it's a cool combination of hanging out. Like as far as the pacing through that, like
and you get it. You get their relationship. It's also got okay. Since we've already taken the Cap wheeling Mjolnir, the scene where and it's so cinematic, where it's the elevator and it's building. Watch the way it's shot. Watch the way it's cut. Like it builds. you see the sweat on somebody. You see the way their hands are shaking. With every level, they get more people coming on. And it
still
before we
gives me
start,
goosebumps.
does anybody want to get off? And not only does he do it, but he does it one-handed. And it's like, that's Cap. And then he like jumps out, takes on a jet. He punches the jet down, and then just keeps going. It's like, this is amazing. And now that, but
He threw a motorcycle at them.
take that. It introduces Sam Wilson in a great way. Like Sam's a
On your left.
on your left, and that's the first time. And it shows him as a fellow soldier who's running. You see why Sam Wilson's a hero even without the wings.
Yeah.
And
Come on, man. At the beginning, when he jumps out of the damn plane with no cars. That was awesome.
And
That's right out of the
he's like,
comic.
Yeah.
And he's like, why don't you want to date? No time. And he just
And
jumps out.
it was a straight. I remember that first fight was like visceral. Like, you could tell like
somebody
he
in
was,
my
like,
theaters
up to
when he
speed.
first throws that first the shield for the first time and hits the guy. Somebody in my theater goes, "Ooh," and it's like, "Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what we're all,
ooh.
like, something's different." It felt different. It changed. It changed like how much things weighed in the Marvel universe. Like things were real now. A punch mattered now.
And when he just puts the shield down, like, okay, let's do this.
When he's
Or he
like,
puts it on his
is-
back.
Are,
Yeah,
are you just a shield? But after Iron Man 2 and after Thor 2 and after Avengers, you kind of lost some of the mass. Do punches hurt? And then in Captain America: Civil War, it's like, oh,
Brought
no.
it back.
I
Yeah,
mean,
they hurt.
Winter Soldier, they hurt. Yeah, pound for pound. Yeah, but again, it was the last cynical movie. Like, are we fighting for the right things? Are we the good guys? Does the system work? If S.H.I.E.L.D. can be infiltrated by Hydra, what else could be?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine filing the paperwork to have the Triskelion taller than the Lincoln Memorial.
Seriously. Oh, and DC,
505 feet is the cap.
get about it.
That Triskelion's a little taller.
And DC was really part of the movie. They
Yeah.
really shot it.
Oh, they did.
But it felt. I'm trying to think. There's a great Warren Beatty movie that it reminds me of. I don't think it's Parallax View.
Dick Tracy.
Oh, well, we could talk about Dick Tracy all day, every day. But it does feel like that in 3 Days of the Condor and all those great Clute. All
Bonnie
those
and Clyde.
great. It wasn't my.
Well, that first fight with the realization from Cap, like I think the acting was fantastic. When he realized it was Bucky, he's just like,
Oh.
I
Who
mean,
the hell's Bucky?
it breaks your heart though.
Yeah.
I mean, you feel that, and it's cool that like Cap sides with him. Like he's like, there's got to be an explanation for this. I know who this guy is, and how he operates. So there's definitely a good reason.
And he was, and like how down he was for his friend. Like if your best friend is Steve Rogers, this is how far he'll go.
Yes, absolutely. And that's how I felt like that was the feels part of it. But yeah, I have it as number one. I feel like it was the first film that they made that, maybe people could have like eyed it maybe for an award.
And
As far as it, like, if this wasn't Captain America, if it wasn't a Marvel-based character and you just had this film, which could work outside of like an actual superhero, like a Jason Bourne, not like those are like award films, but I'm saying like if you make it not Captain America and, Black Widow and other characters, you could have just an elite fighting whatever else, and that movie could stay exactly the same. It would be fantastic.
yeah, it's a movie that has a street fight. They're
Yes.
fighting. Yeah, it was Parallax View, by the way.
One of my favorite things about the movie is I always say that the two best fights in comic book films are when Batman is going to save Martha,
Yep. Thump.
and then the elevator scene.
Ah, the elevator scene.
And we got to give it to Callan Mulvey, who was in both.
Really?
Yes, he's KG Beast. And
KG Beast. That's right. That's right.
He was he was in both of
I
those
remember
fights.
him and the elevator. Yeah.
Yes,
That's awesome.
my mind works differently than others, but
KG Beast.
Well, while we're talking trivia,
Great film.
I don't know if anyone at home is in my same situation, but I was raised in a house with women, and I wasn't exposed to a lot of, battlefield kind of terms and stuff. So it took me several years before I realized that Bucky's name is significant, and that a buckler is a very small shield, like an 18-inch diameter shield, which is why they chose that name in the first place for Bucky.
That's why he's Bucky Barnes.
Yeah.
Did he carry?
As Captain America's partner, not because he really carried one,
Exact-
but just
oh,
to kind of connect the
he
character.
was the
with
little
Captain.
shield.
He is, yeah.
And we mentioned the Ed Brubaker run that it's based on earlier.
Yes.
And it's also like as a comics history, no one's truly dead in comics except for Bucky Barnes, which was an adage for decades, and then Brubaker.
He's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought it was done in a really cool way.
In an incredible way. It's one of the best Captain America runs of all time.
Plus, I love Sebastian Stan. So.
And Sebastian Stan's a great Bucky. Yeah, no, it's all
even when he plays
Tommy
bit
Lee.
parts, like the Martian.
And a Tommy Lee to go.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Full circle.
With Lily James.
And that's to kind of bring it around as far as like we were kind of talking. So you have Winter Soldier and Sebastian Stan, and you have Falcon / Captain America. They were in those movies that we love, like our favorite movies, right? And I really didn't care for Falcon and Winter Soldier. I love their chemistry. I love their conversations and how they play off each other. But as far as the story goes,
boy, could that have been just a movie and move along?
Yeah, and it
again,
that's where the writing comes into play.
As long as the fight with the Dora Milaje stayed in, because that was my
awesome.
favorite thing.
And when
they got their asses whooped.
She goes, yeah, when he
kicks
goes,
the shield up and
he
grabs it, and then
he goes, no, give it back to.
you weren't even worth it.
But how do they say it? How does she say it? The Dora Milaje have authority wherever the Dora Milaje happen to be. That was like the most gangster. And then what's his name? He was whining about it afterwards. She's not even a
U.S. agent.
Yeah, he's not even a superhero.
But also like that series just felt like okay, we need to introduce U.S. agent and Sam needs to become Captain America, and then they wrote a show around it instead of organically coming to that.
Had they already introduced Val at that point? That was the end, the very end of Black Widow. The extra scene because they reshot.
Oh crap! They came out really close together. I can't remember which.
I think Black Widow was first, right?
It was released
at the post credit scene, right?
Yes, post credits. Elena's at the grave, right? That was the very first time you see Val.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
And that movie was supposed to be out like a year and a half earlier.
So it shouldn't have been
that is her
close.
first. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Matt, number 1. We've all been waiting.
No.
The movie, no.
No. Why don't you tell everybody who's coming next week?
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. So, are we really done then? We're gonna wrap this up. Okay, we'll get back to it, but we're gonna take a break here to kind of discuss. We're really excited for next week. We have
my favorite comics writer currently working.
Mark Russell is going to be on the show next week. We are recording it next week, and it'll be we're keeping the same schedule, but we're going to be talking with Mark Russell. And if anybody listening has any questions you'd like us to ask him, or any books or projects that he's been worked on in particular, you can hit us up on our Facebook or any of our other socials, and we'll be more than happy to ask those questions. We already have some in mind, obviously, because we're super excited to get a chance to talk to him. But
we have 5 anyway.
We have what? 5?
We have 5.
We have our standard 5 questions locked down.
I can't wait.
But it's going to get probably pretty deep with Mark. He's a thinker. He's a fantastic writer. But shout out for that next episode. It's going to be fantastic and tons of fun.
Do some homework. Want to mention what he's doing.
Yeah, do some homework this week if you get a chance. His big ones are Flintstones. Don't sleep on it. It's profound.
Fantastic.
Superman Space Age, which just ended. Snagglepuss.
Blade, Vampire Nation.
And a lot of great creator-owned work like Billionaire Island and Second Coming.
Yep.
Absolutely. And his incredible run on Red Sonja.
Yeah,
for Dynamite that also just ended.
So as you can tell there, that's a diverse body of work. There's something out there,
and everything he touches is excellent.
Yeah, fantastic.
And it's also going to be the first year anniversary.
Yes, 1 year anniversary of the arcade. So it's going to be interview and chatting with Mark on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to be having our 1 year anniversary party, which means
get your
sales,
here.
food,
here.
all that stuff. So come on out and join us for that. And then the episode will actually drop that Sunday night with Mark. We have a bunch of fun stuff planned for March 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It's going to be a party around here. So
we're even going to have clowns.
Hopefully.
Well, you guys are coming, so clowns.
Where's that rim shot?
I don't have a rim shot yet. It's going to be a full drum beat. But
boy, I can't wait another second for this number one.
I know. Back to this number 1. Best Marvel movie.
Favorite Marvel
of all time.
Well,
in the MCU.
How's the weather, guys? What's it like outside right now? I'm teasing. So my
I don't
favorite,
see any thunder.
my favorite movie to hate on is
See any thunder.
Thor 2.
Or 2.
Wah, wah.
Someone had to say it.
I know. That was the first time I watched a Marvel property and was like, oh,
No,
maybe this might
maybe
not-
it won't
Maybe
work.
this won't work.
Yeah.
I mean, because Thor 1, it's a little vacuous, but it is so beautifully done.
Kenneth Branagh.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And the second one, though, it didn't quite
I watched it. I was like, at least his mom died.
exactly.
Boy.
But I mean, you don't have someone like Eccleston come on and then cover them head to toe and make him unrecognizable.
Barely knew him. Barely knew it was the Doctor.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Well, and
That's,
the whole,
I mean, that's what I'm saying about it.
And yet David Tennant got his moment in the sun.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't even.
There's just
that was
nothing there.
Dark Fate, right?
Dark
That
Fate.
was the introduction of the Red Stone,
Dark Fate. Directed by some guy.
directed by some dude.
Alan Taylor.
Is that the one where Skellen is going a little crazy?
Yeah.
And has like the posts in his underwear stuff,
Yeah.
right? That was fun.
It's a dark world.
Dark World.
Dark
Oh,
world.
Dark World.
It's Thor the Dark World.
Dark Fate is the name of the
Was that a
Lazarus
Terminator
Planet
movie?
book,
Oh, yeah. Dang
whatever.
it. That would just...
or whatever it is. I don't know.
Oh, if you guys haven't,
Doesn't matter.
the new Superman comic this week.
We didn't even talk about the news.
Holy hell.
No, it's good.
Not as good as Blue Book, but it's pretty damn good.
It's number one. That's important.
Yes. So Dawn of DC. Actually,
I think that's all we need to say about Thor 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a great fight scene in the courtyard, isn't there? Where Thor recovers really cool. I mean, it's a visually
Oh, it's just got
interesting
some great parts. Yeah.
fight.
It's honestly been too long, and it was intentionally not watched. more.
Yeah, I'm fine
Well,
with what I've seen.
when I watched it, the one thing that sticks in my mind is when he takes Natalie there, and then his father finds out, and his father basically treats her like she's a turd
Yeah.
on the floor. Get that thing out of here. You know what I mean?
It's harsh, yeah.
It's
Just weird.
But it's a very good movie.
But Superman 1 is a legit great comic
It is.
out this week.
No, it is good.
And a great jumping on point,
Yes.
not just for Dawn of DC, but also for Superman.
Yes, and so it's spreading out. The very first Dawn of DC book, as far as with the branding of Dawn of DC, was Action Comics 1051, which went into a second printing and will be on sale
Tuesday.
February 28th then. So February 28th. So we have second prints of that.
Who knows when that'll be?
And then the Superman #1, and then Action Comics also on Tuesday, Action Comics 1052. So Dawn of DC is humming right along. And if you're not familiar with that, if you're interested in Superman or whatever else at all, Action's kind of like the team book now, as far as Supergirl, Superman, like anybody could show up as far as the supers. Superman 1 is the Clark Kent book. And then Adventures of Superman, Jonathan Kent is the Jonathan Kent book moving forward for Dawn of DC. And this is kind of all setting up, Teen Titans becoming the premier superhero team, Cyborg's getting a book, all of that. But Superman 1, fantastic creative team. Williamson's writing it. The art is fantastic. The colors are fantastic. It feels like a Superman book.
But it still makes some big swings.
It does.
Yeah.
It ends very well.
And then Matt mentioned Blue Book,
Yes.
the new
Tinian.
the new Tinian book
new
out this
Tinian
week.
book, which should be all you need to know. But also interesting that he's writing for Dark Horse on this one.
So that was actually the way that I've gotten all those cool foils from through the Onion Club. I read that first issue, I don't know, months and months and months ago. He released it as a newsletter, and then I think, Dark Horse just picked it up. It is interesting. I'm surprised. I figured it would be an Image or a
Yeah. But it's a really good
whatever
book.
else. It is. It's fantastic.
Tinian doesn't miss lately.
And what's the Dawn of DC for the subsequent weeks this month, leading or even into March?
Leading in, there as of right now, the only ones I'm aware of. I don't think the new books launch until as early as March.
Like Doom Patrol, right? And
Yes,
Patrol's
Doom
one of
Patrol's in
Green
next
Arrow.
one.
Green Arrow's the one I'm looking forward to.
Yep, but that's end of March, I believe.
Yeah.
So everything up to that point is the Superman books.
Cool.
Yep. So they're excellent.
Just like the
starting
original
on jumping on
DC
points.
sparked with Superman in 38. Now they're doing it again.
Yeah,
He's always the one leading the charge. It's great.
it's exciting.
First hero. First comic book hero.
Yeah, for sure. I think that is going to do it for this episode. Matt, do your thing.
Everybody out there, please support your local comic book store, local comic shops. They are not doing as well as you think they are. Thank you, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.